Hello, you. I'm Jonti.
And my name's Brandon, also known as B Squared, and this is This Week in Ink.
Each week, we'll be wading through the Inklands to bring you the news and the views on all things Lorcana.
Coming up, we have our regular segments, Main Street Market Watch, You Made Me Ink, and a card reveal, maybe?
Yes. Can confirm. And we'll be discussing the latest topics and taking opinions from the live chat.
Hello, live chat.
Go ahead, Brandon. How's it going?
It's going great. I'm going to be honest. It feels a little bit weird that it's not Monday. My whole week's thrown off all day today.
Yeah.
Not that we do a ton of prepping for this show anyway, if we're being honest, but it's usually on my mind throughout the day that oh, I have this thing that we're doing tonight. And I've been thinking that all day today. And so I've constantly been thinking it's Monday and I'm having to remind myself that it's Tuesday. So, but anyway, I'm excited to be here. Sorry your kid's sick, by the way.
Oh, it's fine. He's already doing a lot better. It was just like a bug, like a 24-hour cough, cold, sickness bug. He's already doing good, but he's at his mom's tonight. So normally we probably would have just taken a week off. But honestly, there's an absolute ton to talk about.
So much.
and of course, and we do have a reveal, so we're not going to let people stick around. We would love for you to stick around. We're going to be talking all about set champs tonight. We're going to be doing a bit of a deep dive retrospective of all things set champs, the good and the bad, and then we have a pile of reveals from the last week to look over as well, and we're going to be here for a couple of hours talking about them and going through them all and seeing what we think of the new set. But we do have a reveal, and we don't like to make people wait for it, especially because it's a reveal that you may be expecting.
You may be expecting this one. And I did say before we reveal it, if chat guessed correctly, I would open a pack. So you guys will have to wait to see the card before you see if you got it right. But if that happens, we'll open a pack immediately.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure quite a few people did guess it right. Okay, we'll move on. Here it is.
Oh, there she is.
5 costed. A nice. We seeing her in full resolution is a nice thing. This is a 5 costed inkable 4/4 with 2 lore. Belle, accomplished mystic. She's a Floodborn hero, princess, sorcerer with shift 3 and enhanced healing. When you play this character, move up to 3 damage counters from chosen character to chosen opposing character. Googly Gloom is pointing out there that this is brand new information. Brandon, what did you get? Anything good?
We're going through it. I'm just going as you talk so we can kind of get it out of the way. I don't want to we have a lot to cover tonight. So
we do have a lot to cover. If you just drop an enchanted now and be like, oh, okay, let's move on.
All right, there's the enchanted. Let's go. An Alice and... Oh, a foil Kita.
Just a foil legendary. Sorry, folks, not an enchanted, just a foil legendary for you. So here we go. Then we have a beautiful bit of art here by Malia Ewart. I'm going to guess I'm saying that wrong. On this super rare. This is beautiful art, to be honest with you. I love the art. Gorgeous card. And yeah, ability wise, we're obviously seeing some more of this. Was more damage being moved around and stuff. I don't know whether, is it good? Do we think it's good? Do we think it's usable, playable?
I don't know. It's so hard for me to tell because this is one of those things that was teased. I say teased. We got a little bit of this and into the Inklands, this whole moving damage around.
Was that the first time with it? Was it Madam Odie? I think was the one
that
did it.
Yeah, Mama Odie is the first one.
Mama Odie, and then I think there's an action that does it as well.
Yes, because I think the Lumiteer is revealed.
Yeah, that's the one. Bestow a gift.
Yeah, and so I don't know. The thing that I immediately think of is pairing it with steel, or again, I bring this up a lot, the ruby self-damage stuff. I get being able to damage your own characters for some sort of benefit and then move those damage counters somewhere else, maybe. But I don't think we've seen much of that in the reveals so far.
Not so much as damaging yourself. I do wonder whether obviously the ruby challenging matters is something that we've seen right from the very beginning, but is definitely getting more and more support each set. And I always thought it was going to be ruby steel because steel has got the stuff in it that's like challenging unexerted characters. But I actually think it might be an amethyst build because we have a lot of stuff that turns stuff sideways in amethyst. We have a lot of
Yes.
rush in amethyst. We have a lot of stuff that can grant rush and challenger in amethyst. And now we're having also this stuff that can move around damage. So, Maui is a great card on its own. If Maui's killing something that makes him take 3, and the next turn you're then able to move that 3 onto something else, like, I don't hate that. So I do wonder if there is a ruby amethyst. Now, obviously, ruby amethyst is a very popular, more sort of like late tempo-y control deck, but I do wonder if there's a whole other archetype in ruby amethyst that's being merged over the last couple of sets that is more of a challenging focused archetype. I don't know.
I think so, because that's one of the things I hear all the time with the challenging matters. It's almost becoming a meme now. We get all these cards that care about challenging stuff, and it's like, oh, this card would be great if I had a way to like guarantee a challenge into my opponent, and your opponent, of course, can just not exert their characters, or there's plenty of bounce stuff going on that's really good that they can use to keep you from challenging them. But Amethyst has those tools, right? Like Amethyst, since set 1, has had cards that will exert your opponent's cards. And so I agree that I think there's a Ruby Amethyst build that's there. And honestly, it's part of why I haven't tried that archetype because it's Ruby Amethyst. And it's just like, if you're going to play Ruby Amethyst, you might as well play like the broken stuff that's in it. So I don't hate the idea of, like you said, a Maui coming down and then punishing this afterwards, because I find some people, specifically with Maui, your opponent will play a Maui, it'll rush into something and banish it, and then your opponent just sort of leaves it alone and continues to quest and do their thing because they know that Maui's gonna banish something else, and instead of you challenging and wasting what could be questing, you just quest and then let them challenge your character again. I can see this being a punish to that, right? Like you play the Maui, they don't challenge the Maui, and then like you said, you play the bell, take the damage off Maui, put it on something else, then challenge something else. So
Yeah.
I'd like to see something form with this. I really like the ability when we saw it on Mama Odie. I thought it was really cool. The fact that she's Floodborn might be pretty nice too. I don't think there's there's no like vanilla bell card, is there? And there's definitely not one in Ruby or
Not
Amethyst.
no, it's just, I think it's just Emerald so far.
There's one in
Oh, and a
Sapphire, or
Sapphire
there's a
one,
couple
yeah.
in Sapphire. Yeah.
Yeah. So
But yeah, I don't
it is
know.
what it is. Wero points out that Amethyst Ruby is already relatively challenge focus with Fox and Maui and Rafiki. And yes, you're right. There's a lot of things in that deck that's wanting to hit. What I mean more by challenge matters is more that, like, not just to control the board, actually winning you the game. So like gaining lore from challenge, drawing cards from challenge, that sort of thing, really. Obviously, yes, challenging is used in that deck quite a lot to control the opponent, but I want to see the sheer Khans and the what was the ruby item in the last set that lets you draw a card when
Sumerian
it's challenged?
Talisman.
Yeah, that all that kind of stuff. I would love to see that get played, just because I kind of dig it. I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying that I kind of dig those cards and want to use them. Like I enjoy. I like the idea of that as an archetype. Perhaps more than it actually will be good. I just like the idea of it. I just want to see it happen. They're printing that many cards for it. It's got to,
Yeah.
at some point, be
And
something.
I do wonder if maybe we just didn't have enough tools for it this past set, and maybe I don't know if this will be the set that we get enough tools for it, but it is something that I haven't seen explored very much. I think partially because the cards weren't great. Like Mama Odie doesn't do anything on play. I think she has to quest in order to do something, and
Yes.
she gets hit by Medusa and like all the other stuff. And but like Belle, it's an on play ability. When you play her, you get to move the damage. So that's pretty nice. And I definitely think it's worth exploring. Maybe this fits into some sort of deck. Versus 20 says like pulling damage off of Smee to like put damage on something. You can do stuff like that. I think there's a couple ways you could, I don't know, do something with this strategy. I just don't know if we have all the pieces yet, but it'd be fun to try out at least.
Yeah, I think you're right. And somebody points out that we have an Emerald Bell that isn't really seeing play at the moment with the discard your hand. I've been playing an Emerald Amethyst set for deck for a couple of months now. I played it all through set championships. I've had a blast with it. A little Bell that kind of fits into that, and these two, they could go like this could become the new top end of that deck.
Yeah.
Because the other thing I will say as well is it doesn't necessarily. It doesn't say that the 3 damage has to be on one of your things. You can use this, like, it's not great, I guess, but you could use this to just finish something off if damage is somewhere else. And I don't know. I like the card. Love the art of it. I think it's I know I say this about every card that looks nice, but I think it's a enchanted contender.
I can see it.
Just like that, like Bell Sorceress. That's just a cool piece of art, I think. So I can definitely see it as an enchanted. Yeah,
I just because they look cool, I want to have Belle and Honey Wizard Pooh just like on the board next to each other because they're very similar vibes going on right here.
Yes, badass sorcerers is definitely a thing. And eventually would love to see more sorcerer support outside of brooms. I think all the sorcerers usually look pretty awesome, and amethyst is a cool color and stuff. So I'd like to see more of that. So there you go. Thank you very much, Team Lorcana, for letting us show you this. We will be looking at all the other reveals in a little while. But now we're going to move into our main discussion of today, which is a sort of recap, a retrospective, I think is a good word for it, for the set champs. So, have you recovered?
I think I've recovered, but I will say I skipped out on a set champs. I know, don't go crazy on me in the chat. That sounds like a wild thing to do. I skipped out on a set champs this past Sunday that I could have gone to because we were given our cards to reveal, and they were like, they need to be done in a week. And so between like set champs and then this week, I didn't have a lot of time. So I did take Sunday off to kind of do nothing except get the video together. But I think if I would have gone to the one Sunday, I'd definitely be even more exhausted. My house is a mess. It's atrocious. Yeah. You can't really see it. There's like cards all over the table.
Is everything
here.
Just like pushed just out of shot?
there's like a first chapter box here that just still has packs that were ripped open. There's just like stacks of cards everywhere.
Is having stacks of cards everywhere not like just the norm? Like
maybe that's just the normal TCG player thing. But so often I found myself like running home, finding the cards that I need, throwing them out of sleeves, stuffing other ones in, and then just like trying to organize them in piles and like, this is an important pile, this is a bulk pile, and then running out the door. So I'm recovering a little bit. Set champs, in my opinion, were super fun. I did have success in set champs. I topped all of them that I went to, so of course that's going to be fun.
Can you prove it? Do you have stuff there?
One of them's already in the mail, and I traded it exactly for these 2 shinies to add to my collection. But then I have the other 2 that I just showed off. So I went to 3 total. My play mats are still in my backpack across the room. I haven't even taken them out. And I'm saying all this because it was a grind and it was super fun. I am kind of excited to just take a step back and throw together a jank casual deck that's like not good, and just play with that and not care about being a great competitor and playing optimally for a little while. So that's how that went. But you had a set champs that you went into, or a couple.
I went to 2. So I was at 3, but for one of them I was a judge. I played in 2. The first one was a midweek one, and it was really quite sweaty. They were all sort of ex-Yu-Gi-Oh players. All already had multiple stitches from the first weekend, and it was just like in a little upstairs card store type place. And it like as the night went on, everyone sort of went, and it kind of chilled out, and we ended up having a bit of a joke and stuff by the end. But the first 2 rounds, like there was no music in the place or anything, and it was just like heads down, and it was like, and it was kind of gross. And then round 1, I was actually paired up against Jason, who I went with, who's a team member of mine, and we've been practicing a lot. And we probably put 100 games in the couple of weeks coming up to set champs. He's on Steel Song, and I'm on a Amethyst Emerald deck. So I personally feel like his deck is probably in favor there. Really, he will deny that, but I think Steel Song has got. I think Steel in general has kind of got a hold over the low to the ground Emerald Amethyst deck. But pretty much every game we've played, we've played 100 games, and I think overall it's like 52 to 48 to him. Pretty much the dice roll decides it always. Like if I get to go first and get a couple of merfolks down, and my 2-drop Ursula gets rid of his strength or storm, then like I'm kind of cooking. If he goes first and he's turn 1 Cinderella and turn 2 kills whatever I've played, then he's kind of got it, right? Like it literally is that simple. It's usually decided on the dice roll in the first turn or 2. So we get paired up, I sit down, we roll dice, I lose the dice roll, and I put my hand out to shake it, and he's like, no, come on, let's play now. I'm like, all right, we could have just gone and got some dinner, but sure, okay. And he beat me. It went to game to 3, though, to be fair, and but he got that. So I was on the back foot for the rest of the night, really, and I ended up going 2-2. And missing out on the top 4. So I still enjoyed myself, and I felt like I played well. But it meant that like the Sunday was like, that was it. It was Sunday or bust, basically. So the Saturday, the one I judged, went incredibly. We had 32 people out. It was really awesome. Had an absolute blast. Jason, who I went with, ended up winning the Tuesday night one, and then he ended up winning the Saturday at the Game Chamber as well. Very accomplished players. Ended up with 4 stitches. Played in 4. Topped in 4 and got 2 champs and a second, I think, Matt-wise, but just has done incredibly well. And then Sunday, I managed to dodge him. Just didn't play him in Swiss, and I got to top 8, and then managed to win that round, and then got knocked out in a mirror match in top 4. So I do have a single stitch for my accomplishments for the weekend.
Yay!
I'm just very happy about that. That's what I went in for was 1 stitch, and it's what I came out with was 1 stitch. So I'm happy. But yeah, I loved it as well. I really enjoyed the more sort of competitive feel to it. I definitely wish I'd have maybe put a bit more practice in against other decks. I pretty much just played Steel Song and then never really saw it unless I played Jason. But even still, just getting the lines of your own deck is very important. And I think because of that much practice with it, I got some really great lines with it. And I won a single die roll in both events, and it was the round I lost. It was the top 4 cut. Was the only dice roll I won.
I was obviously rooting for you as I was keeping up as the day was going on, but seeing that you were winning all of the games that you lost the die roll on was just so funny to me. And then to see that you lost the one that you did win, right? I was just like, Jonti is on something. Because like in my testing, I'm much worse on the draw than I am on the play, and I think that's just like a me thing. Something I need to work on is mulliganing differently when I'm on the draw and playing a little bit differently on the draw. So I don't ever really enjoy being on the draw, and of course there's like the disparity and the percentage that you hear a lot of people talking about. So it was very entertaining to watch you go all day losing the die roll, being on the draw, and just winning out anyway.
It was good fun. I felt like every single win I had was like hard earned. I never had a one round in the Sunday. I went against Ruby Amethyst, which is one of my better matchups, honestly, and 2-0'd, and it was the only 2-0 I had. Like, and again, I lost the dice roll, but it was the only time I ever felt like I was like able to like not just go balls to the wall constantly, like it was the only time I felt like I wasn't like hard earned getting the win. It actually felt quite comfortable. So, but other than that, it was just a long few days. But absolutely loved it. Can't wait for the next one. And overall had a blast, and I think they were fantastic personally, and I think in general that seemed to be the the response is that these have been great.
Has it?
So this is where I think we disagree, because yes, I think the majority have found these to be good events and good for the community. I feel like there has been a noisy minority, but you disagree. You think that maybe more people didn't.
It's
With
hard.
these.
It's hard for me to know, right? Because it could be a vocal minority of people that I've heard didn't have a great time at set champs. It could just be like some of the voices on the internet versus like the thousands of people that played over the weekend. But I definitely saw a correlation of people who were winning and were walking away with stitches, especially multiple stitches, were like, yeah, set champs are great.
Yeah.
And then people who honestly were right at that level where like they weren't just losing out all day, they were getting close and then not quite getting there.
Mhm,
We're having a
mhm.
really tough time. That and I found that new and or inexperienced players to the competitive side of trading card games specifically seem to be having a really tough time. There were a lot of discussions that I saw online about a lot of things between like IDs and people traveling to events and a
Mhm.
couple other things that people seem to just really have a hard time like swallowing or accepting or grasping. And like it has made me wonder after the fact um, if it made anything better or worse between if we have to separate a crowd, which we've had this discussion before on the show. I don't think it's like casual players over here and competitive over players here, but for the
Mhm.
sake of this discussion, if we had to separate um, people who identify, I guess, as more casual or identify as more competitive, like did set champs help at all with the relationship between those groups of people, or
Mhm.
did it just sort of make each of those groups
Would it
a
just
little
sort of
bit more frustrated with the other?
pull open the gap, basically?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. It's a really interesting topic, and I don't know if we would. Um, I don't think we'll ever really know without some sort of like well put together poll. Like that's
Mhm.
something I would like to be. I would like Ravensburger themselves maybe to put a poll out that is asking these kind of questions. Because I think the problem is any of us doing it, it's already too slanted.
Yeah.
Because our audience is, I feel like the Inkwell specifically's audience is somewhere in the middle. I feel like I
Mhm.
hope to think that at least it's sort of casual who are erring on the side of competitive. But for instance, if you had the Forbidden Mountain or the Podcana guys do a survey of their
Yeah.
audience, I'm sure it would be a bunch of competitive people saying, "Yeah, these things are awesome. Like these stitches have paid my rent for 2 months, right?" But then, if you went
Yeah.
to like the Illuminateers, or if you went to Live Laugh Lorcana, I'm sure maybe the response will be very different. Who do have more of a sort of casual following. So, I feel like maybe we sit somewhere in the middle. Maybe we don't. I don't know. Like it's one of the big things that YouTube tell you. Actually, this is completely nothing to do with Lorcana. One of the big things that YouTube tells you when you're making content is you are not your audience, and don't assume
Yeah.
that you are.
Yeah.
So it might be not that. Maybe I'm misjudging who's watching us, but I feel like we sort of sit somewhere in the middle. So I don't know. I think they were fantastic. Every store I've been to has been happy with them, and um, and for the most part, the people I know who were new to them and gave them a shot enjoyed them despite not doing well. And I'm never going to sort of sit there and say, oh, that's because, we have the best community by us and everywhere else is
Mhm.
terrible. I think it might just be that maybe those people aren't out there typing into Twitter, I didn't do very well, but it was fine. They don't feel like
Yeah.
they need to sort of push that out into the internet. Janine here, for instance, in the chat, I'll bring this one up. I did my first ever TCG championships this weekend. Looking at the numbers, I didn't do that great, but looking at how far I've come, I know, and how I did it for a first, and how much I learned, it was amazing.
Mhm.
And I'm hoping there are a lot of people out there who feel like that, and we're just not hearing from them.
Yeah.
And I feel like what we're actually just hearing is the more extremes, and that's usually how these goes. At my first time playing any TCG competitively, I'm happy with making top 8 in a 64-person set challenge. That's
Yeah,
absolutely
that's huge.
fantastic.
Congrats.
I know somebody else who's new to TCGs but has really got into Lorcana, a lovely lady by the name of Terrin, who got into the top 8 on our Saturday and played again on the Sunday and didn't quite make top 8, but hit 10th or so. Did good both times.
Mm-hmm.
And had a blast, and wants to go again. I feel really awful for the guy I knocked out at top 8 because it was his third set champ, and he'd made top 8 every time and got knocked out top 8, which was gross. And I was like, if I had a Stitch, dude, I'd be shaking your hand right now. But this is literally my last chance as well. So like.
Yeah.
And I crushed him. No, it was close as well. But I felt awful for him. But even still, he took away, and he was like, "No, do you know what? I'm new to Lorcana. I absolutely loved it. I can't wait for the next ones of these."
Mm-hmm.
I hope there aren't that many people out there who are genuinely who turned up with a starter deck, didn't know how sort of competitive this game was going to be, and is now super salty about it and getting out of the game. I really hope that's like. You can count those people on two hands, right? Like I feel like that's pretty low. Now, how many people out there who don't understand what an ID is and have and are now struggling to understand that? I do wonder if it's that kind of thing that's overall is going to be a problem,
Yeah, so I'm gonna take a step out for a second and make an assumption, but one that I've observed to be true. Again, with it's just based on what I've seen on the internet, basically. But like, it seems to me that the I'm actually hold on. I'm gonna see if I can find this message that I sent in our thing that Jacob was like, just read this because I'm not gonna be able to remember how to say it.
One thing I will say while you're finding that is I know there's a lot of people that were saying like, oh, the stitches were too good. And it's just made people run around all of them and grab them all. And I will say this, if they made the promos more obtainable or not as impressive, and what I mean by impressive is like look at the league promos, they're just foils with a promo stamp. If they made them like that, so as the hyper competitive, the sort of competitive pro players, if they made the promos so that those pro players didn't care about them, you wouldn't either.
Wait, say that again.
If all the people out there who are like, oh, they the promo is too nice and there's only 4 of them and it's just meant that like really hyper players have come out to get them. If they made the promos not as good, if they made them just foils with a promo stamp, or they made them, the 16 people get one or whatever, the casual players wouldn't care about them either. Because nobody cares about the league promos.
Yes.
Nobody.
Yeah.
I have a list every month. I'm like, 48 people, come and get your promo. And I've got 20 of them left after a few weeks. People don't care because they're easy to get. And all the people out there are saying, I'm not a competitive player. You still care. You still want the thing to be difficult to obtain for it to have value.
Yeah. I think this ties into a little bit of what I was going to say. In that, I agree. I see a lot of the same thing. One of the things that I saw after set champs is people wanted the prizing to go a little bit further into like top 8 instead of just being top 4, which I actually agree with. But I also saw some things about like giving everybody a promo and maybe making the prizing the same promo, but like you mentioned, it has a stamp on it or whatever, which I think would be fine. But yeah, the thing that makes these desirable is that there's not a lot of them. They're hard to earn and they're worth money. It's like if the league promos were each worth $100, competitive players would be grinding casual league night. That's just kind of how that would be working. And there's really not a balance between making a really valuable, highly desirable promo that's going to retain a lot of value and then also giving that promo to everybody. Like that just doesn't work.
Denzel here says, is there not a middle ground between the $600 card and a $2 card? As far as Ravensburger is concerned, I don't know what that is because Ravensburger haven't made $600 promos. They've printed a foil card.
Yeah.
The fact that the reason it's $600 is because of maybe how many they made, I guess. Like I wouldn't totally be. I'm not totally against the idea of them being for top 8, or
Mhm.
maybe have them like the mats or like the Star Wars Unlimited promos where it's top 8, but they say top 8, and
Yeah.
there is a runner up and a winner or something. I can't remember
Mhm.
exactly how it's put out, but then the winner one technically would hold more value, and I don't hate that, honestly, but I don't think it would have changed the amount of people who come out to these events,
I do.
and the amount of people who would travel for them. Do you really?
Yeah, I think well, I say so here's what I think would happen, mainly because this is what I would do. If the cards were only worth $100, let's
Mhm.
say, um, I very likely would not have planned to go to 4 set championships, still ended up going to 3.
When you planned for the 4, you had no idea what the Stitch was worth.
I had no idea what the Stitch was worth because yeah, I had no idea what the Stitch was worth, and I planned for 4 because I wanted at least 1.
Mhm.
Once I got the first one, I just would have been like, "All right, have a great rest of the weekend.
If they
I'm
were
gonna
worth
go do other stuff."
$100.
Yeah,
So the other
because
ones you went to, it was purely because of the monetary value of the promos.
yeah, absolutely, and like specifically because of just how much they were worth. Like
Mhm.
even if they were only like $300 or $200, like I think there is a middle there where I probably wouldn't travel or go as hard for it because
Mhm.
I mean, Stitches were selling for $800, the first Saturday. And
Mhm.
I'm like, that's a couple first chapter enchanteds.
Mhm.
That's my Atlanta trip almost, like just on its own. And if I can go and earn one of these for a $20 entry fee or whatever the store is going to charge, I can get major value from doing that. It's worth my time to like spend all day playing Lorcana. I'm already having fun doing it, but then if
Mhm.
it can pay for me to go to a Disney Lorcana challenge, or if it can pay for all the product that I want to buy for the next set, why wouldn't I do that? The first one I wanted for collector's sake. I'm always going to keep one.
Mhm.
All the ones after that were because I can turn this into something else that I'd like to collect or something else
Okay.
that I'd like to do.
So say you booked 4 and you won the first one and you had luck on eBay and they were selling for $80. Would you then cancel the next 3?
Probably.
Yeah.
I might
And
like I might show up if my local group's like, "Hey, we're all going to travel an hour to this store and we're going to
Mhm.
go play." And it's like, "Okay, I'll show up for fun."
Okay.
But like I'm definitely not going to sweat at the tournament after I
Yeah.
have won. I'm just going to go to
So
play
so
for the
say
day.
you'd got one booked in for like an hour and a half away and it was just you going over, you'd probably cancel that.
Yes.
So who do you think canceling that helps? The store who've already prepped for so many people coming in and then having tickets cancelled a few days
Well,
before?
so this is where region might change because I'm in a region where nobody was pre-registering for these. Like it
Yeah.
was just you show up the day of, you pay for your ticket and you play. Like there's just not
Yeah.
that many players around here. I
Because
do get there are other places that you absolutely have to pre-register or you missed out.
well, I capped at 32 because I didn't want a 6th round, and I sold out 32 tickets about a month ago, maybe more
Yeah.
actually. And if
Yeah.
I'd have had a pile of them cancel, like on the Monday or Tuesday because they won
Mhm.
one the weekend before because we ran ours on the second weekend, my event would have been screwed because there's no way I would have filled them because everyone who I turned away already had gone and found somewhere else.
Sure.
So I hate the idea of people learning one and then they're not being worth enough to warrant going to everywhere else.
So is that an issue monetarily or is that an issue of having enough people to show up and play?
Well, I had enough
Because
people to show up and play. I probably turned about 20 people away that I
No,
know
but I'm
of.
saying in the example where people get their one and then they cancel on your event on your store, are you saying that's an issue because you maxed out and now you're refunding everybody's ticket and
Yeah.
now like the store's not making any money, or is it an issue because not enough people are going to show up for the tournament to fire? Because
Well, I
I
mean,
think one
I'm
like
sure enough would turn up for it to fire, but like I have to, I have multiple events running, and I have to dedicate space to the in the room to an event.
sure.
So I've crossed off my card game tables, and if they're half full, I probably could have run a Magic thing or a Star Wars thing or something, you know.
Okay, I see what
So
you're
it's
saying. So
also
it's
that
it's
I
more it's more than just like the ticket cost. It's also like even if we don't refund the tickets
mm,
and only half the people show up, we could
Yeah.
have ran a separate event.
Yeah, I mean, we will refund tickets like up until the morning of, basically, because come the morning of, the money's taken out and distributed for whatever the pricing is or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
but only 4 people would have cancelled with 4 promos. Oh, well, that's only for one event. There was hundreds of
Yeah.
these going on. Like
Yeah.
all of this completely depends on where you are, what your meta looks like, what your community looks like, and how many people are playing the game. The point I'm perhaps trying to make, and is getting a little bit lost here, is nobody had any clue what these were going to be worth when they booked their tickets for them. And most people booked multiples. Personally, I feel most people booked multiple events because they thought, well, if I go to 5, I could probably top 1. You
Yes.
know, I
Yeah.
know for a fact that's what Jason felt, for instance, my friend who ended up going to 4 and topping at 4. But he was
Yeah.
like, I'm going to book 4 because then it gives me a good chance of topping at 1 of them for my stitch, you know?
Mhm.
But I think if the promo was predictably going to be cheaper, Joe says people would have pre-registered for fewer events in the first place. I don't. Yes, but I don't know how you can predictably know they're cheaper. Like
Yeah, I
we had
think
no.
that's hard to know, especially because I way undershot what I thought this Stitch promo was going to be, even at its high. I thought at highest it was going to be like $350, and it was going to go down from there. But I do think with different pricing structure, especially now that we know right what these, at least what these sold for. Who knows
These
what the other
first
ones will
ones
sell
did, yeah.
for? Yeah, depend. There's a lot of factors into that, but if Robin Surger came out tomorrow and said, "Hey, for the next set championship, everybody's going to get a participation promo, and the top 4 are going to get a one that says top 4, and then the champion's going to get one that says champion," then yeah, I think you'd be safe. Like at that point, I definitely wouldn't sign up for as many because I just want to collect the card. And if everybody's getting a card, I don't expect there to be a ton of demand um, for them, even the championship ones. And even if there are, I'm fine with that because I got my card. I think this is a real culmination of the only way to get this card is to top the event. And there's only 4 of them. And so, like, you're either going to have to pay the money for it or.
Yeah, I don't think that having more of them would have people going to less events because you still only get one at an event. You know, like I think the people who've gone to multiple thinking quite rightly, because this is how it works. Hey, if I can hit multiple of these, they're most likely going to fund at least a box of the next set. Like that is a pretty standard sort of competitive player's mindset. If I can win a $200 card, that's a box of products, you know, or it's
Yeah.
3 or 4 playable singles for the next set, right? I use my ability in the game to fund my habit of the game, you know, very sort of standard competitive mindset. So it doesn't really matter whether there's 4 or 8 because they still only get 1 at that event. So they're still going, well, if I want to get 6 of these, I'm still playing in 6 events. They're easier to earn at each of those events.
Yeah. I mean, I see what you're saying.
I mean, also, I think it's worth pointing out, I have absolutely no problem with people traveling around for these, like at all.
I don't either.
Like, because that's just how this works.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and get around that topic. I don't think it's an issue at all for people to travel and to go to store to store and you see the same person at all 7 set championships that you went to, and they topped every one of those set championships. Like, believe me, I understand how frustrating that is, to want something so badly and see other people constantly get that thing instead of you getting that thing. And it's really easy to get the mentality that if that person wasn't there, then maybe like I would have won a stitch. That's an extra stitch that goes to somebody else. But this is a competitive event. It's a competitive environment. And I think as a competitive player, like I want to be playing against the best people. As weird as that sounds in a scenario where I want to be the one winning, like I don't think punishing the best players in the room is the right call because like I've seen people say, well, those players should be limited to one, and after they top one event, then they shouldn't be able to sign up to others and things like
Yeah.
that. And I think that's a very bad take
That's a
personally.
way to kill your game
Yeah, like
quite quickly.
I think you want as many people signing up to these things as possible, as many people playing. And look, I'll be honest, one of the best things about the set championships, in my opinion, was watching all of the players that I play with every week get better in that small like window of time, because everyone was so on fire for getting one of these stitches, and we'd play and I'd beat somebody and they'd be like, and they'd like talk through their plays and ask how they could get better, and I'd try to tell them, it in my best advice on maybe what they could have done differently or what my thought process were on how I played. And I literally saw them like get better as the weekend went on and
Mm.
as the week went on. And like the community as a whole becomes better at the game when they're playing against better players, at least when those people that are losing are also trying to get better. So yeah.
Denzel points out here, it's less about wanting the car, but more about wanting people who play in stores a chance to do well. Clear for me, I think perhaps there should be a different event in store champs. So if your store has got 12 people that come out every single week and play, and and the store realizes that you all as a community feel very strongly about that, there is nothing stopping that store from saying, cool, you're the 12 people playing in our store champs. There is absolutely nothing in the rules anywhere saying that a store has to open it to outside players. Just they need 8. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's something that you feel like would do well for your store and do well for your community, then go for it. I'll be honest with you, I traveled around to some of these. I would have traveled to more if I was available. The rest of my team traveled around to more. My one personally, 32, I had one person at it that I'd never seen before. All of them were local players, because I didn't even put the ticket up online before I made sure everyone who wanted one had got one.
Mm-hmm.
And then so there are ways around this. There are things you can do if it's really important to you that your local community are the ones that play for the cards. But I just have no problem with people coming in. Like it's how the game grows. It's the competitive side of the TCG and the casual side of the TCG are both as important as each other, and both have to be
Mm-hmm.
strong for the game to do well. And you can tell that Ravensburger are very invested in the casual side. They
Mm-hmm.
make very accessible starter decks. They have a really accessible league system. You just show up and play for the best chance of winning the stuff in the league. You don't have to be good. And they have, they're already coming out with the Ursula versus the world. I can never remember what the thing's called. The
Lumineer's Quest.
Lumineer's Quest box. There's the it should be called Ursula versus the world. It's a way better name. There's the Gateway drug box in set 5. Like all of this stuff is coming. So that's the casual stuff, and the competitive stuff is these nice stitches, and that's just how it is. I know I sound like a bastard. I know I do. But it's just how it is.
So this actually leads into what I wanted to talk about earlier. So I'm just going to read this because it's kind of the same thing.
Sure.
I think there's a lot of people who are newer to TCGs and were met with many things they weren't expecting for these events. So far, everyone's been trained for I show up every week for League, I play games, and I get prizes. And I think this past week was a wake-up call to a lot of newer players for what a competitive environment actually looks like. And it'll probably take some time for people to come to terms with that. I will say, and I think where you and I maybe differ a little bit, I was under the impression that set championships were supposed to be a bridge for newer casual players to like dip their toes into competitive. And what they were met with was very competitive players going to every store that they could,
coming out the woodwork, so to speak,
and playing in every opportunity that they could for these $700 Stitch promo cards. And these newer players who needed like, I don't think the competitive environment is what they were met with is bad. It's just normal. But I think what they probably needed was a bit of a softer like competitive event to go to kind of get their feet wet before diving into something that ended up being pretty sweaty.
Yeah, that's fair. Yes, it's not that we disagree. I just we have a slightly different mindset on it. I think Denzel makes a good point here. To be honest, this is a little salty, Denzel, but the point is in there, so I'll read it. I'm assuming this is in reply to me saying I sound like a bastard. Nope, you sound like a TCG player who has played multiple games for multiple times and believe that Lorcana has to be just like them. I think there is a balance that Lorcana needs. Well, you're kind of right. I'm a TCG store employee that puts on competitive events, has people come in the store, has a nice day with them, and then says, "I'll see you in 3 months at the next one." And know full well that the only time they're setting foot in my store is when I'm offering them something that's of value to them, and knows full well that that is an important part of a TCG and is a needed part of a TCG. It's not because it has to be how it is because other games do it. It has to be how it is because this is a competitive card game.
Yeah.
And needs that side of the game to be healthy for the game to continue in the future.
Yep.
I think there is a balance that maybe Lorcana leads, perhaps, but I've heard a lot of people, and I think you're probably right. I think the set champs were put forward, or at least developed, as something that was a little bit more of a gateway into competitive scenes. But I think that if they stay at the level they're at, and if they come out with top 4 really nice foils that are selling for $700-800, and then they have to come up with something in between. I don't know what that in between is, and I don't know. I don't know how they figure out. How do they now make a $300 card?
I mean, I'll be honest. I think on paper, set champs is exactly what that is. It's that soft launch. It's that way for casual people who show up to League every week to show up to the same store but play in a more competitive tournament with higher stakes. I genuinely think the only difference is finding a way to make the prizing slightly less desirable or slightly less valuable, which sounds really weird because you want your pricing to be desirable.
No, I get it, but what I'm asking is how though? What do they make that's less desirable?
Good question.
Because
I don't know.
because what they have made is do we need something in between a foil and an enchanted? Is that what it is? Do we think?
That's another thing. That's another thing. My first thought is just make more prizing. I don't care if it's another card. I don't care if it's a lore tracker. I mean, a lore tracker would kind of suck. They've kind of sucked before. But make something I don't care if it's a pin. I don't care what it is. Give people something for showing up. I see Eric says prize for top 8. I agree. I think just besides this entire conversation,
Rebecca's point is good as well, because there's another thing I was going to mention is narrowing the window of time for the events as well. I think would make a big difference.
That's a good one. But the reason this card is desirable is because it has this enchanted logo on the bottom of it. And
I gotta show mine. Sorry,
and it's not. And it's sorry. Well, and it's
I don't feel left out.
It's got the enchanted thing on the bottom. It's an alternate art. I feel like these would be much less desirable if the prizing was a Rockstar Stitch card, like we saw it in the first chapter, with a stamp that says champion. They'd be much less desirable because you can go get a Rockstar Stitch card and see the same art. It's a different art. So I feel like it's not quite, maybe a little bit, Blake. I don't think it's quite good enough to just print a bajillion of these promos and hand one out as a participation one and then stamp champion on the enchanted promos. I don't think that's a good option, but I also don't think printing a foil card of the regular version and then putting championship stamps on the top ones is good either. So
no, I don't. I think the card, what they've done is incredible. They look amazing. Sorry, Eric, you can't see me, but I'm holding 4 of them up above my head. I bet you are, buddy. But I think non-card prizing is a good topic, because I mean you can so for instance the champion mat there was one at each event, and it was the top place got it,
Yep.
and they're selling for less than something
Way
was
less.
four of.
Less than half of the
So it
card.
just shows you how less a non-card item is valued,
Mm-hmm.
on the secondhand market. So maybe if that's a thing, but then they've, but they did that. They made the top prize a non-card promo. They made the top thing you could win a playmat. So they're already doing that. Make the next
Yeah, but
season.
I think you need to do that, but opposite. Like,
So make the top prize a card.
no, well, I
Oh,
mean, maybe make like give top 8 a card,
yeah.
and then give everyone else a pin
Mhm.
or like something. I don't know. It doesn't have to be a card. It
To be
literally any
honest with
other
you,
thing of merchandising.
a nice foil card, like a card that's the same as the OP kits promos for participation, I would absolutely no problem with at all.
Yeah.
Just for rocking up, you get a cool card. That, like, I'm totally fine
Mhm.
with that. Um, but yeah, I don't know what the fix is, because I don't know how a company is able to correctly predict the secondhand market of something. And I don't even know whether they should have to. Like, I think it's probably quite healthy that they don't.
The we have so much to talk about. Because I disagree. Like I think there comes a point in which they probably should care, depending on what their goals are, right?
Mm.
And like, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I thought the goal of this was to give casual players a way to like step into a competitive atmosphere without having to show up to Atlanta, right? And like they did do that, but I don't think it went the way they wanted it to. And I think you can change that when you make these events less desirable. Which, like, I know Franz was saying, like if you give this card to the majority of players showing up, you're making it not worth it for people to travel, which hurts the event for stores. Yeah, but like that's not a bad thing if your goal is to introduce competitive play to people who have never played competitively. Like you don't want Zach Biven showing up to your 16 player store to earn a promo because he's just, as I love Zach, he's a super nice guy, but like he's gonna stomp on everybody. And it's
I would
just like
absolutely love Zach to turn up,
I
because
would love
I'd love
Zach
to
to
play
turn
him,
up.
and I'd be like, okay, 3 stitches left, let's go. like he's, you know what I mean? Like he's only taking one of them.
But it's like
um,
I don't know.
so
I
the other thing I will say is, though, is the Tuesday night one that we drove to, it was only about an hour away, and it was a midweek one, so we felt like it'd be good to do. And I got there, and there was six. I think it was 16. They capped it at 16, so it was just the 16 of us, and we were just sitting there, and I was sort of looking around. And I said, "So who plays here regular then? Whose local store is this?" And everybody was like, "Oh no, we've travelled in. No, we don't play here."
Mhm.
And then I went to the staff, and I was like, "Did none of your local Lorcana players want to play in this?" And he was like, "Oh, we don't have any local Lorcana, but like nobody plays Lorcana here. We got the kit because we originally got the OP kit, and we thought it would bring some people in. And then at the end of the night, he was like, "Oh, everyone come back on Tuesday. We'd love to get some players in."
Mhm.
And all of us were like, "We would love to." We're all an hour away.
Yeah.
If like that store just, if you'd have said like, "Oh, only locals can play," or whatever, or people can only play in one, that store just wouldn't have ran it. Like, and the Sunday one we went to, there were 17 of us. I think 7 of them played there regularly. Like, I just feel like a lot of these events just wouldn't fire without people traveling to them.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think you're right. I say a lot. I don't know.
But again, I feel like all of our opinions are because of the bubble that we've spent the last 2 weeks,
Oh, sure.
and that's totally
Absolutely.
different all over the place. Like, um, all I've played against for the last couple of weeks is Emerald, Amethyst, Rush. Everything I've played against has been so low to the ground. Our meta is insanely low to the ground here in Southern Ontario, and everywhere else I'm seeing like Ruby Sapphire and Sapphire Steel winning these events. I'm like, there's no way they would win by us. They would take way too long. So
Mhm.
just everyone's in this little bubble, and I think your opinion, you have to remember that your opinion is being formed by that.
Yeah.
I went to one set chance that had 20 people. It was the smallest one I went to. The guy said his usual league night is like 2 people showing up for fun. Yeah, I think you probably hear that a lot, you know. Katie says, I appreciate Zach Bivens being the worst case scenario for casual enjoyment. Yeah, a nice guy who plays well, like he's fine. I will take that over a miserable guy who's not as good.
I know. I think Katie's just like joking, but like the point that I'm trying to make there is that if I saw this specifically happening, I think around Texas, like maybe the Dallas Fort Worth area, because there's some pretty good players over there. It was like I'm sure there's a bajillion stores over there. Some of them don't even show up to league weekly, but like they came out for these events, stomped everybody, earned 6 stitches after 2 weeks, and then left, and you'll never see them again.
Yeah.
And it's like if you if you want to give people who are intimidated to show up to a competitive event but want to dip their toes into it, I don't think you want those people like showing up to every event smashing people. I agree with the majority of chat and saying I want the best people to show up to a like tournament event. But I'm also a casual player. I'm also a competitive player. I want to be playing against the best people. I don't care if I lose to Zach Bivens. He's better than I am. And I just use Zach Bivens. He's the first competitive person that comes to mind. But it's like, I don't know. I have no idea if any of these, if people who had bad experiences won't come back because they were crushed into the ground or whatever. But it was my understanding that the event was supposed to be a way. I mean, I feel like I've repeated myself at this point. They're just like a way for new players to come in, experience a competitive event, and then like decide after that if they want to go any further. And I also hear chat when they're saying, well, how is it a competitive event if competitive players aren't showing up? Because your local competitive players are showing up. I'm going to show up to my LGS that has a tournament going on for a $200 card to win the $200 card, but I'm not going to go travel 2 hours and do the same thing at another store that I've never been to. So like I imagine you'll still play competitive people. You're just not being stomped by the same competitive people for every store that you show up to.
So yeah, that's all fair. I agree with all of that. Is maybe the fix sort of keeping it to one weekend? Would that help?
Honestly, probably. I was against it at first because I wanted like as many people to have an opportunity to participate as possible. But like if the issue is that too many people are running around and earning Stitch promos because they're good at the game, then yeah, limit it to one weekend. Make every store, there's going to be 6 stores that all have a set championship at the same time on the same day, and people are going to have to decide which one they go to. And if you happen to go to the one with all the sweats, it's unfortunate for you. But maybe you get lucky and go to one that doesn't have as many people. But again, that hurts stores. It hurts stores. Not as many people are going to show up for your event. Yep. So like,
and if you've got like 4, if you're in a bigger city and there's 10 stores, like, what they would love to do is talk to each other, or at least wait to see what the other guys pick for their night, and sort of spread them out. Like I certainly make sure I'm not running mine on the same day as anyone else, but if it's pushed into one weekend, you might have to, right? And then you're just splitting up the locals who play in both. So
yeah,
that could be tricky. Fran says, I argue that it did exactly that, though. New players are introduced to a competitive event, and some parts of competitive events upset some people. I mean, I kind of agree with that. I feel like maybe the middle ground is like what I try and do is once a month run a tournament at my store, and it's usually $10-15 to enter, and pricing is just packs, and that's it. But it's ran properly, it's ran as Swiss, it's ran as top cut if we need to, and it's just helped the more casual players get into that competitive mindset. And I think because of that, a lot of the players on my set champs were newer players, people like Janine who spoke up before, a lot of others, and they did okay. They finished middle of the table and they enjoyed themselves and they got an experience. And I wonder maybe that like just the stark difference, and this is something we spoke about before, the stark difference from the weekly OP. Oh, wear a Disney shirt and get your points, up until you have to be good to win this. And it's this sort of dichotomy, this difference between the Disney, and the it's the difference between the T, C, and the G, the trading cards and the game.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. To be honest with you, I want to make a video like about this, more or less to help people prep for the next tournament they go to, set championship, whatever. And like one of the suggestions I'm going to make is that you don't go to a set championship, you go to a local like $10 weekly store championship. It's 3 round Swiss and that's it, because I think that's a lot closer to what I was assuming set champs were supposed to be, because it's not as sweaty. It's like you still get people who show up and try because there's store credit on the line, there's stuff that you can earn, but like you don't have world-class players traveling to every store to compete. I do want to highlight Rebecca's comment, because honestly she talks about this topic way better than I can, trying to defend like that side of it. But where she says, but you want casual players to aspire to competitive play. You can't just say jump into the deep end and expect people to swim. That's kind of what I feel like happened. Like set championships was all of the casual players were shoved into the deep end and half of them drowned. And all the competitive players are saying, learn how to swim better, I guess. I don't know what to tell you, and it's
so,
like.
That's a great analogy. It's a really good analogy. I like it a lot. And I do want casual players to aspire to competitive play. I'm not saying learn to swim. I'm saying this wasn't the deep end. Like this was for all the ones I went to were like, yeah, this is a store level tournament. Like, I don't know what's lower. I don't know what the gap is between OP and this. I don't know what that looks like.
The only thing that I can think of is like a $10 constructed tournament on a weekday, or like, on a weeknight or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the only thing I can think of.
But like, so I run those, and the same few people win them, and the same few people try as hard as they can and crush it and go 4-0 and 5-0. So is it just that they're known? Is it just that they're regulars?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's like difference? I think it is, because something else that I saw over the weekend was the complaint about, we already mentioned it, people traveling to different stores and quote taking stitches from other people. And I sympathize with those feelings, because the very first Saturday that we had set champs, I showed up to my local store, and there were some guys that showed up that none of us knew who they were. They were good players. 3 of them showed up, 2 of them made it into top cut. And the whole time I was like, I can't let these guys take home the championship mat. Like, this is our store. I want to stitch. I don't want to, and like, not in a way that they didn't deserve it, but I was just kind of like,
I get that. Yeah.
I understood that like feeling of these outsiders came in, and I don't want them to just come in, earn all the stitches that we want and leave. I don't have a problem with that, because like it's well within their right to do it. And I did it. Like I did it over this weekend. But I understand that feeling. And I think when you instead transition it to something like a more casual $10 tournament, if you're being beat every week, you're at least being beat like by the same person that is showing up to your league every week and like giving back to the store, or hopefully somebody that's nice enough that you can talk to and maybe learn from, and can help you get better at the game, so that maybe you can start playing a little bit better and start working your way up to having the skill to compete in higher stakes tournaments.
Yeah. Yeah. Rebecca says, well, this is where some empathy comes in. A toddler going from the kiddie pool to a 3-foot depth feels like you're in the ocean. Yeah, of course. And the problem is, yes, I'm not empathetic. I never have been. I'm not empathetic. I'm not an empathetic person. I'm a pragmatic person, and
you're
it comes
a Brit.
across as 100%. Yeah. Brits are not empathetic. Brits love an underdog until they start doing well, and they're like, whoa. Yes, I'm not empathetic. I'm incredibly pragmatic, and I think very often comes across as like heartless and soulless. If the fix is to run small tournaments that only really get locals into the mindset of tournament play but aren't attracting outsiders, then I'm incredibly empathetic because I've been doing that since day one, and I didn't maybe I just didn't realize that that's the solution. So whether or
To
not
be fair, you
that's
do a
something
lot of things the right way. Like
I constantly try and get my casual players not only enjoying themselves, but if they wish to and if they feel like they can, move towards a more competitive mindset because that's the game for me personally. Like I have no
Same.
interest in playing bad cards, like I don't want to. Like I just, to the point where we've always done like starter deck tournaments for the launch. This time I'm actually, because the product is a bit more available this time, I'm still going to do a starter deck tournament for the casual people who just want to just sort of grab a deck and have fun with it. But for the longest time now, there are very invested players who have had to play the starter deck tournament because that's the thing we're doing that weekend, and like I'm like, I don't want to sell you a starter deck. It's not for you, right? Like these decks are not for you. They aren't fun to play because you know that you can do more with the cards. So this time we are going to run some drafts for the launch of the set, which is exciting for the people who are a bit more invested. But yeah, I constantly trying to show. Oh god, perfect timing. Perfect timing. AJ, Jonti got me from a fresh face in the TCG scene to a store championship. I felt very supported by our community. AJ
Awesome.
not only played in a store championship, he won a store championship and has
Heck
a championship
yeah.
now. He's a better player than me now.
I love that.
And it's a little annoying. I love you, buddy. I think tomorrow, actually, he has a top 8 cut. I'm pretty sure.
What?
Is that right, AJ? I think because he played in one on Wednesday and it went really late, and they were like, top 8 can come back next week.
Next week.
Yeah, so I think if I remember rightly, I think he has a top 8 cut. Yeah, so he might still be going.
Good luck, then.
Yeah, yeah, right. And this is the other thing to be said as well. TR Philly here. Set champions I participated in were very non-competitive. Jank decks, young kids, first timers. DLC will be a massive shock if they go to it. Yeah, I have heard this a few times.
Yes, absolutely.
I was looking at some sort of top results from in the area, just to kind of see what else was going on. And I found a store to the east of Toronto, like the other side of the big city from us. And the top mostly just normal decks, but like lots of 1-ofs and 2-ofs in the decks. And the third deck, the one that finished third after the top cut, was mono amber dwarves.
Oh my goodness!
Absolutely blew my mind.
I'll be honest, there were a couple decks that I saw over the past 2 weeks that once I started playing against, I was like, you decided to bring this to set championships? Like that just, I don't know. And sometimes I think it was people like trying and they thought they found some sauce that wasn't there. And some people, you could genuinely tell it was like they had been playing Lorcana for 4 weeks and they brought it's the deck that they have fun with and they just brought it and played it. And it's still like those players weren't happy when they saw me sit across from them and just kind of like win both games pretty quickly. But that's like, I'm a little bit concerned about the casual player experience at Disney Lorcana challenges. If there are people going for anything like that, if the set champs were this much of a like issue or problem for some of them, because Atlanta is going to be it's going to be 5 times worse than the set championships were. Like, people are going to be very, very serious about the competitive play. And
Lee Bob says I played against mono amber dwarves in my sit jams. Are we missing something?
I was about to say maybe we're just ignorant.
Is this the secret spice that we've all been missing? Joe says I felt a bit bad destroying a Beast Bayou combo deck, but they were trying some nonsense, so I didn't feel too bad. Yeah, there's a big difference between somebody taking like a janky combo deck and somebody taking what is clearly like a starter with 20 cards pushed into it kind of thing, and like it,
Yeah. Overexerted. I don't know if you're asking what deck I played or what I was playing against. I played Ruby Amethyst, typical bounce thing. I think Lorcana Villain put up a video a minute ago going over some deck lists, and my deck list is in there. So shout out to Baker for doing that. That was awesome. But
Oh,
you
I'm
can
looking
find it
forward to that.
there.
I sent him mine. I don't know whether he's done it or not, but
I
yeah,
haven't watched the whole thing
it's
because
just
I
a
was
video where he's
prepping
like
for
going
this.
over all loads of decks that won a Stitch, basically, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. So the deck list is there because I don't know if I ever posted it on Twitter. What I was playing against, there was one guy that I played against that was playing Emerald Amber. And I was just kind of like, this is an interesting thing to bring to set champs because like it was a discard thing. It was like an aggro discard bodyguards thing. And I mean it was fine when it was on the play. But even on the play, like I ended up beating it and it was fine. And then the one that really shocked me was I played against a Amethyst Sapphire deck that was running like the Louis Dewey Huey line.
No way.
And
Okay.
it was basically just like DuckTales. And she straight up told me, she was like, I've been playing Lorcana for not very long. DuckTales is my favorite show for forever. And I felt horrible because it was round 1 of the set champs. I roll out my championship mat and she's like just there. I don't think she knew what to expect when walking into the store. Like I think she maybe thought this was just like a weekly
Yeah.
store thing and was met with, I mean, I tried to be very nice. I tried to
Yeah.
like talk to her and like be fun and friendly and whatever. And it just, you could tell she was not having a good time. So, yeah.
It's yeah, it's definitely a tricky one when you know you're going to crush it, but still want to be pleasant. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's a hard line to because you know you're there to win this. It doesn't really matter that to you. It shouldn't matter that
Yeah.
they're new or you know whatever. You've just got to be nice. You know, kill them with kindness kind of thing. But I will say on the Saturday, I had a couple who were pretty new and they signed up like quite late into there was probably the last 2 tickets I think, and they came and told me they were like, "Can anyone play in it?" And I was honest, I was like, "Yes, of course." I said it's going to be quite competitive, but it should still be a fun day. You'll get a lot of games in. You hopefully you can learn a lot if you want to. That's always what I say with these things. Like if you come in with the mindset that you're going to learn a lot from the day, and that's good. But I'll be honest with you, there are going to be very competitive players playing very good decks, and they both still signed up. And at the end of the day, they came over to me and they're like, "What was our final rankings?" And I was like, "You were 27 and 28." And they were like, "Not last, woo!" And like they were absolutely made. There was a couple. There's a really lovely couple. They've been coming out and playing every Saturday. And I was like, "Yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly the right answer." And so the next time you'll be 17th and 18th. And next time you'll be 10th and 11th, and that's just what you got to keep going for, and it's awesome, you know. Yeah. What were you laughing at? Sorry, in the chat.
I was laughing at Eric. His thing. What was the other?
She's never played Lorcana again. Yeah, absolutely. Ran out the door in tears.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a couple of things. It's hard for me to like read and listen. So I know, Rebecca, you and I have talked about this, but I would love to know more about in what ways can a competitive community like do what you're talking about, like support those who are dipping into competitive play. Is there something we can do? Like, I'm not expecting you to have the answers. You're just great at talking about this thing. But if you do have them, I'd love to hear them, because I am somebody who, like, at some point we were all casual players at some point, or new players, or however you want to label it. At some point we were all bad at this game, and had to like go through the ropes of learning how to be good. And I was young enough, like I've been playing TCGs for really as long as I can remember. I don't really know where the switch was that was like going from bad to good and understanding a lot of stuff, and how much of it was me just saying I want to be a good player and knowing that I was going to be bad. But I'd love to hear more, I guess, from the casual crowd of like, what more could have been done?
What would you like? Yeah. Like, I mean, like, to be fair, I think as content creators, I think one of the best things we can do is help people preempt what it's going to be like, you know?
Yes,
and I like,
absolutely.
I feel like we tried to do that a few weeks ago. This show was dedicated to, prepping for a store champs, what to expect and what to take with you and what sort of mindset to go in with. And like, maybe we didn't do a very good job, I don't know, but like, we did try
Mhm.
and do that. I know Jason, my teammate who did very well, he has a YouTube channel, and he's been putting some videos out about his experience and what to expect. I know he has one coming up that is basically, yes, if you're new to this, what is it going to look like? If you've signed up
Mhm.
for the DLC because it sounds like a fun weekend, this is what that's probably going to look like. And
Yeah.
I know you said that you're working on something similar. Maybe I'll look at doing something
Mhm.
as well. Make maybe that would be good. I'm not really sure um what else we can do, really. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel the problem is, Franz, I do agree with this. I think there's a better way of saying it, maybe. But this is how you dip your toes into comp play. You just get your ass kicked until you figure it out. I mean, that's kind of it, honestly. Now, I'm not saying it's right, but it's just kind of how it is. If you want to learn how to play chess and you turn up at the park and there's the 20 old guys sat there with their chessboards, you get slaughtered until you
Yeah.
start not getting slaughtered. Like, you go and play any online video game, you die a lot until you stop dying a lot. Like, that's kind of how it is, unfortunately.
So
And like, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's kind of what this looks like, unfortunately.
I will say, I think the problem is less that like casual players are showing up and they're not winning or they're
Mm,
losing really hard, and more that there's a lot of things that they didn't know they needed to prepare for or weren't prepared for and wish they would have been. So like one of the things that I saw a lot was just the mental strain that was going to be playing 6 rounds of Lorcana throughout the day, and you're not going to have a lot of time in between games to like go to the bathroom or to um chill out, and or like even just the stamina of playing so much Lorcana, the mental fatigue of dealing with an early loss or
mm,
dealing with losses where you're no longer going to be in top cut, but you still have 3 rounds to play. Um, IDs, we haven't even gotten to IDs yet, but like that was another thing that new players just like weren't expecting and thought were kind of weird. And I can understand if you don't know what that is, and then you show up to a tournament and you hear, oh, all the top players are just going to not play each other for the last 2 rounds so that they can secure their way into top 8.
mhm.
I can understand why that would be frustrating as a player who didn't know that's just kind of a normal thing in trading card games. Um, and I mean, you already mentioned we as content creators can make content about it and hope that people watch it. But outside of that, I don't really know what else you can do
Mhm.
to prepare or help people
Yeah.
avoid those things.
I think Aaron makes a good point there. If you watch content creators like yourselves, you would have heard that over and over again before said champs. And if you're serious about the game, you're listening to content creators, and that's also a thing, right? There are lots and lots of people out there playing this game. There are hundreds of thousands of people out there playing this game. The largest Lorcana specific YouTube channel is what, 10,000 subscribers, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
probably.
Like, there are some that are bigger that because they've had previous followings and have shifted to Lorcana, like Steadfast, for instance. But the ones who started day one, us, we're all sitting at sort of somewhere between 1,500 and 5,000 subs, right? Like, there's a lot of people out there who are very invested in this game who aren't watching a single YouTube video, so
Mhm.
we can only do so much, as content creators. Yeah. Um, yeah. You guys want to say, look, it's about investing in the game people are willing to be, and that's it. And if people are coming and saying, oh my goodness, this wasn't what I was expecting. This is way more competitive than I thought it was. It's put me off a little bit. Um, or okay, now I know what this looks like. I can be ready for the next one. But if somebody has bought a starter deck, put some cards into it, are very aware that a meta deck exists, have gone along and have got trashed and hate it, I don't know what I can tell you.
Yeah.
Like, at some point, if you want to get better, we are here to help you, but you
Mhm.
have to want to. And
Yeah.
part of getting better is not being good for a bit.
Right, and that's why I say I don't think the issue is not being good. Like,
Mm,
even like, Rebecca mentioned much earlier in the chat that, like, she didn't expect to go into her set championships and win the Stitch.
mhm,
She had expectations, and she was kind of bummed if she didn't meet those expectations, but I don't think it's like, well, let me back up. There are definitely people who walked into set championships and, um, felt entitled to a Stitch, I think, because they show up to the store every week, and
mm,
then when people that were better than them showed up and won Stitches, were really upset about that. I think those people need to look inwards a little bit and realize, like,
yeah.
they're not entitled to that Stitch in this sort of format. Outside of those people, though, I think the issue wasn't that, like, people came in and lost or weren't good at the game. I think it's like they have aspirations to compete competitively, and there were things outside of, um, their skill maybe that they weren't expecting, or I don't know, things that were I don't really know how to word this well, but, like, I don't think, like, people's investment in this game was the issue, you know what I
Mm,
mean? Like, because I think that's part of it. A casual player wanting to aspire to be more competitive is them wanting to invest more into the game,
mhm,
and when they do that, when they're met with, like, a bunch of stuff that was, unpleasant,
mm,
I don't think that's the goal. And there's some of that is necessary, which is the having to show up and get your butt kicked because you're not good and you have to learn how
mhm,
to be good. But I think there were aspects that weren't that like didn't have to be that. You know what I
mhm.
mean?
That's fair. Denzel asks here, as a store employee and a lifelong TCG player, I assume you're talking to me. I'm not necessarily a lifelong TCG player, but I understand your point. Yeah, I played games before Lorcana. Is Lorcana just like all the other games in your store? Yeah, pretty much. The Disney aspect of it has brought in a wider crowd, which is incredible, and honestly, the best thing about it. Um, though I can't remember where I heard it, or Reddit or something. There was because there was a little bit of a thing this week about like, oh, it's still the Disney game, like the set
Hmm.
champs have been happening and other card players have been like, oh, look, the Mickey Mouse lot are here or whatever. I think it was Eric posted about it. And I
Yes.
was like, yeah, it's a thing. I said, but honestly, it's a thing in all games. Like last year,
Hmm.
all the Magic players were sat there going, oh, this One Piece crap, and One Piece is doing incredibly, like that just happens. People become tribalistic about their own game because they fear that there's something out there might be better because they're so invested in their own thing. But somebody maybe commented on that or somewhere else. They said some guys were like, oh, the Disney lot are here, and one of the Magic players said, that Disney game has that we don't though,
Oh
girls.
yeah.
I was like, that's
Yeah.
so good. I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. But it's absolutely true. I get more. I get more sort of women, kids. Just in general. The more of the more, not white men, basically. Like everything that isn't a white man, we get a lot more of it, and that's absolutely fantastic. And I come from an incredibly multicultural country. I've moved to an incredibly multicultural country. I am a huge believer
Hmm.
in the strength and the strength in diversity and yeah and most, but unfortunately where I work is mostly white dudes.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy that this has done a little bit to help with that. But other than that, yeah, it's a TCG, and I do think that the thing that's going to be an issue moving forward, and I think perhaps is the crux of the issue that we're talking about today, and we've had in the past with the whole sort of casual v competitive. I think there is a serious dichotomy between the theme of the game and the
Yeah.
ability and the gameplay of the game, and
Yeah.
I don't know what the fix of that is, like whether there needs to be or not. And I think that's the problem. It's look, Mickey Mouse, princesses, but also it's a very well put together TCG.
Yes, extremely well put together. And
Yeah.
I like that's part of why myself, and I'm sure you also, like, love playing this game, is because it's so good,
Hmm.
and you have trading card game players that have played trading card games for 20 years now, playing this game because of how well it's made. And in the same room, you have people who didn't know what a trading card game was last year, playing this game. And it's a very interesting like group of people to try to mesh or mix together. And there's definitely going to be some growing pains with that, I think. And like Jonti said, I don't have the answer. I don't know what the best solution is on how to integrate everybody. I don't know.
Yeah. But I feel like this game has the best chance at it. So, and whatever we can do, I've talked about this before. Me and you sat here. We won the prejudice
Yeah,
lottery,
yeah,
right? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like we're white
exactly.
dudes that speak English. Like we've
Yeah.
never had to worry about this sort of stuff. So I not only do I not only am I very aware of my privilege, I also don't want a white knight. So
Exactly.
please tell us what we can do for this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Like because
yeah.
I love to see it happening in Lorcana. I love to see it happening in TCGs in general, and also a lot of the sort of like classic nerdy stuff. It is shifting that way. D&D has
Mhm.
had a huge increase in sort of less diverse players, and and we in general at our store are pretty good, I think, comparatively to most. But I don't know why. I don't know what we've done to do it. I'm happy it's
Mhm.
happened, but I wish I could make it happen more, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Casual players have access to Enchanted Pins promos. This is prize for competitive. Yeah, are we starting back round again, Eric, or what? Like this is where we were an hour ago. Talking of which, we have like 50 cards to look at.
I know. We didn't even talk about, or did we? I guess we did talk about intentional draws a little bit.
Intentional draws. There's no problem with them. It's part of the game. Deal with it. If for the most part, people taking intentional draws isn't affecting their ability to make a cut.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's just letting them have a break. Honestly, for the most part, if somebody's taking an intentional draw, it's because they were already making the cut. It's just the result doesn't matter of the game, so they might as well just go and have a break. So I have no real problem with it. I know that they can sometimes affect the people in the final rounds moving up into play.
Mhm.
But I don't. So Andrew's saying I do. They suck. Wrong. It is collusion. Okay, if that's genuinely how you want to, if that's the opinion you have after me saying this politely, find me the rule that says it's wrong. There isn't one.
Yeah,
So
I was about to say,
like like if you really want me to get that way, it's not against the rules. So deal with it.
no matter your stance on intentional draws, they are explicitly allowed in this
Yes,
game.
it's
You
yes,
are,
exactly. It's not even that they're just like not really mentioned. The rules have been written to say they are allowed.
yeah. And so do that as you will. I ID'd in 2 of the 3 set championships that I played in. I would have ID'd in the first one had I not drawn round 3 and had to win my 4th round. I like, especially honestly, even the longer that the event is, like if you have a record that you can ID with, you're probably a good enough player to be in the top cut anyway. And I understand like um it can affect some of those people in the bubble. That's just kind of the nature of the IDs. Like they're great for people that are at the top. They're horrible for people that are in the bubble. And I don't know. There's not really a way to like fix that. I don't think. I don't have a problem with them. I just kind
Yeah.
of take the punch on the chin when it happens, or use it to my advantage when I can.
Tech here says problem with ID I think is after you lose 2 games, you have no incentive to play anymore because players who go 4-1-1 will be ahead. Yeah, but
Yep.
they won 4,
But
so
they've won more
yeah,
games.
and they've
Like they
lost less than
performed better
you.
than you did.
Yeah,
So
that's the thing. Not sure about the ID take. We had 4 players take 2 IDs and 8 take 1. of the top 4, 2 of them would have had 2 losses or at least 1 each. Not quite sure.
I think he's saying if like players ID'd 2 rounds, so I don't know, 4 or 8 players all ID'd, half of those players would have lost at least once. You're arguing the other half would have lost the second time. That's not entirely true. They could have won the second time instead of lost the second time as well. But yeah, I don't know. They ID'd because they were winning. They were in a position that they could.
Yeah. As Eric points out, those players would still be ahead even if they took the loss because the strength of schedule probably would have been better. If you lose 2 games early, the person that loses 2 games later will be ahead of you. Yeah. So it shouldn't make any difference.
Yeah.
I believe Flesh and Blood draws count as a loss, so that's not an issue.
I hate this.
Yeah, that's kind of how they deal with it. Same in Star Wars Unlimited is the same as well. A draw is classed as a loss, which is gross, but it does fix the problem if you consider it a problem of IDs. People are just not going to take them.
Like it fixes the problems of IDs, but then it causes problems where you and your opponent are playing Ruby Sapphire and like you don't make it to game 3. You don't finish game 3. Well, now both of you lost. So like now those players are punished. So it's like it just creates other problems.
Yeah. Sorry, Scott says, will the new 2-game format make something like ID not be taken advantage of so often? I don't really think it changes that much, honestly, as far as IDs are concerned. It pretty much still works the same way. Currently in the game, a win is 3 points and a draw is 1 and a loss is 0. In the 2-game format, a win is 7, a draw is 3, because a draw would go down as 1-1. So a draw is 7, a win is 7, a draw is 3, and a loss is 0. So at some point there will always be a point where taking the 3 is enough so that it doesn't matter how many others get the 7. And so the exact same thing will happen. You'll just have to people will just sit and do the math and be like, yep, I can ID here now from now on, and I've secured my place, and I've secured the place because I did well.
I played well up to this point. Yeah.
Just, and again, if it's and if you disagree with me, it doesn't matter because it's allowed. So I've got the rules on my side. Technically right. It was the best kind of right. All right, cool. Market watch, super quick. We have 1 card to look at.
Can you guess what it is?
not only 1 card as in 1 type of card, 1 specific card, which is this one, the first. I'm pretty sure I haven't done the actual.
It's the only one that I've seen.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the only one. This is the only, or the first at least, Gem Mint 10 Stitch Rockstar promo from PSA. This was won on the first Saturday. It was sent to PSA on Monday with using their 5-day turnaround, and I don't actually think it's in hand right now. I think PSA send you photos before they send you the card back, or as they send you the card back. So I think these might be the PSA cut photos. So it's legit. It's happened. But I think the chances are the guy probably gets the card Monday or Tuesday and then can ship it out. But it's got a few days left anyway. So yeah, there it is. $2,000. Actually, that's a bit low, to be honest.
That's what I was thinking. I'm surprised it's only at $2,000.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've really looked at eBay, but it always used to be a thing that like it kind of goes up quickly and then it sort of sits there and then the last hour it goes up again. So yeah, very interesting to see what this goes for.
When you place a bid, you can set like an upward limit, and if people keep bidding, it just automatically goes all the way up. So yeah. How much time is left? 3 days, 4 days?
3 days, 20 hours. So yeah.
I'll be eager to see where this lands because I don't know about you, Jonti, but my stitches are not PSA 10 worthy.
Mine is ass.
And all of them that I looked at that were at the stores were not PSA 10 worthy.
I said this.
Condition.
I actually commented on the I spoke to this guy on Facebook. I'm like, congratulations, man! Like, it's awesome. I hope it goes for insane money for you.
Yeah.
And there was another guy who said, "Oh, I've got sick," because I said, "Congratulations, this is awesome. You know, I hope it goes for loads of money with you." All the ones I've seen wouldn't get an 8.
No.
And somebody commented saying, "Oh, have you? I bet you've seen loads, huh? Like, I've got 6 in my hand that'll all be PSA 10."
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I'm like, well, actually, I have seen loads because I had the 4 at my store, and I got a good look at 4 at another store,
Yeah.
looking at their kit. I have seen, another dozen at the events I've played in, and the team I'm part of have won 15 between them that I've all had a
Yeah.
good look at. So yes, I've seen about 30 of these things, and they're all ass.
Yeah. Yeah. They all have issues.
Yeah, like mine, like the corners aren't so bad. The centering doesn't seem so bad. I bet the camera won't pick it up, but this corner is like scuffing. Like you can see silver
Yeah.
all around the corner. The camera isn't really picking it up actually, but yeah, like it would be a 6 maybe. Like it's damaged, like almost really. So yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely some foil bleeding on some of mine, and the corners are not straight. The backs aren't very centered on some of them. It's not great.
I
And
am I'm still considering having it graded. Um
I've
because it's
realized,
for authenticity purposes rather than anything else. But
okay,
yeah.
I guess that's fair. I was gonna say, I've found out through this adventure that I'm not a slab person. I'm not a grading person. When I was going to sell the second stitch that I won, I'm also looking for trades for the first chapter, and one guy offered me a PSA 10 um, giant Tinkerbell, and
Mhm.
I felt so weird, but I declined him because I was like, I want to put this thing in a binder. I don't want it to like be in a slab, even though it's
Yeah,
probably worth more, in like
yeah.
a pretty not a bad trade. Um, so
That's
yeah,
fair.
kind of funny.
That's fair.
I just
I'm considering getting some stuff slabbed just for, like I say, authenticity, and because it kind of looks nice. I don't like the PSA thing. I think it's a bit rubbish looking, but the Beckett I quite like, and a few
Mhm.
others I've seen that are nice. Yeah, but but yeah, it's it is what it is. I don't personally mind that mine's a bit battered because it is just going to sit on a shelf. Like it doesn't fuss
Yeah,
me. I
I'm
wanted it
kind of the
because
same way.
I want to be able to look at it and go, yeah, I was good enough to get that.
Mhm.
Like I played well enough that day to get that. Like that's all I'm fussed about. It isn't really a monetary thing for me. But like I say, I might still slab it just to be like, yeah, it's legit. You know,
The
yeah,
only reason that I would care is for the monetary value of like
yeah,
trying to sell it and
yeah.
people not wanting to pay money because it's in bad condition, which is understandable.
hmm I like the hard plastic magnet cases for displaying fancy stuff on comic houses. Yeah, that's what I use. I use these. They're called One Touch, and they're great.
I
It's
probably
basically a
should put
slab,
mine
really,
in
and that's
that.
what I
Mine
put
are
mine in.
just in a loose um penny sleeve right now.
There you go, 2 grand. We'll look back at this next week. I reckon
Yeah.
it's going to go for 8.
8? Oh my lord. That's more than I was expecting. But
Go
I
on then.
also went really low on the I'm gonna guess it goes for 4. I'll go
4.
half.
All right.
Yeah.
Should we write that down?
Yeah, 8 and 4. One
All
quick
right.
thing, so now we're
Awesome.
gonna move on to card reveals, and I just want to get it out of the way because we did say we're gonna talk about like some of the bad stuff of set champs, and we talked about a lot of stuff. I don't know that any of it was bad. I want to see judge promos,
Oh yeah.
um, and I want to see a way to find store championships to compete in. It
hmm
took me forever to find like all the places around me that I could actually go to. And Melee is horrible at
Yeah.
doing that. Horrible. Please fix
Not
it.
only is Melee horrible at it, Melee knows it's horrible at it, so they actually made an intern make a Google Maps.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it was an intern, I don't know, but yeah, like they
I don't think
literally
it
came
was.
out and were like, yeah, we know you can't find events on here, so here's a map of all of them. And to be fair, the map was good, and it found us one that we went to, or some of us went to. So
Yeah. Either do that again or just let me search by location, please.
would love a judge promo, but because I'm a judge, like
I
I
just
would like
think
one.
I just like it's standard in so many other games, and like somebody has to not play so
Yeah,
that they can judge the event, and I think they deserve a judge promo.
yeah, I completely agree. I heard somebody, I think it might have been Joe before. Googly Glimmers, say any thoughts on the varying level of judgeness? Yeah, it
Oh,
was pretty
geez.
awful.
Yeah.
I obviously that just gets better with time and with a judge program, but yeah, I heard about some insane calls this weekend.
Same.
Like shockingly bad calls, like just like not even like questionable. Oh, I may have done it differently. Like judges just not knowing how the game works.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you're referencing the one that I'm referencing. I'm gonna say it because
Oh
it's
yeah,
bad.
go ahead. I can't quite remember the intricacies of Nat's one, but if it's
Yeah.
that one,
So
yeah, go ahead.
So great friend of the show, Nat, also Warlock Levrum's significant other, played in an event where she went to challenge a beast tragic hero that was damaged and exerted. And the opponent said, "Oh, these two things trade." I think she was challenging it with a Robin Hood, legendary Robin Hood. And the Robin Hood had enough health that it should have survived, or enough willpower that it should have survived the challenge. But the opponent was arguing that Beast still had the plus strength because he was damaged. And it very clearly on the card says during your turn. So it
Mhm.
was not the opponent's turn. Beast did not have extra strength. So Nat tried to say that's not how this works. They called a judge over, and the judge ruled with the opponent that the beast had the extra strength on it still, and
Yep.
like made her banish the cards. I don't remember if she said if it ended up mattering, but even hearing that like a judge ruled that when it is explicitly stated on the card, that's not even a question. That's not a hard card to rule. It's not a ruling that's weird that can maybe get
Yeah.
misinterpreted. It's just how it works.
Hmm.
And it's just like mind boggling to me
Hmm.
that happened.
Yeah. It's kind of gross. And I actually like I because the worst thing about it is I had no idea what I would do if that was me, because not only was the judge saying it, like the few people around were also agreeing, like, oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
the beast is +3. Um, like, what do you do? Like, I think Nat in the end was like, yeah, okay, whatever. I wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, I want a second opinion. But at some point, the judges say is final. So, ugh,
Yeah.
I don't know what I
Yeah.
would have done. Yeah. Yeah, it's rough. I'd get kicked out. Yeah, I think I probably would
Yeah.
as well.
I'd be
I'd be
furious.
fuming.
I would probably first like second guess everything that I knew about the game when everybody was telling me I was wrong. And then once I like came to my senses and realized no, everyone is actually wrong, I would
Yeah,
be furious.
yeah, that's crazy. So, all right, cool. Let's get some card reveals done. Head judge gets called. I'm assuming that was the head judge. Most of these events have a
It's probably
judge.
just one judge,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, all right. Boom.
We
57
are the
cards.
muses. It is.
Doom,
Is it
doom,
57 that we
doo,
have?
doom.
Buckle up, people. Get your jammies on and
All right, settle into beds.
Oh, all right. I'll take this one. We have the muses, proclaimers of heroes, an
Start.
emerald, inkable 4 cost, 2 strength, 4 willpower, 1 lore, storyborn ally with ward, and the ability the gospel truth. Whenever you play a song, you may return chosen character with 2 strength or less to their player's hand. Before I talk about this card, I have to give this disclaimer just because I feel like I have to. Guys, these cards have come so fast this week. I've glanced at the card and then moved on.
Yep.
Whatever takes I have on these cards are likely to change. This is basically me seeing them for the first time. I think this is interesting. This is cool. I hate that it's an emerald because songs are really good and bouncing things are annoying. So the ability seems really cool. Ward is crazy because you can't get rid of this thing. You really can't get rid of this thing before it does its ability if they can, right? Because you can't
Well,
like banish it.
it just sits there. I
Yeah.
don't even know if you ever turn this card sideways, honestly. Like, if you're playing a song heavy deck, I think this just comes down and sits there. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It's like be prepared or bust, like
Yeah.
Tremaine or bust or something.
Yeah, basically, the few things that already get around Ward, still apply. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think this is really good. The only thing I don't love about this necessarily is most likely This really comes online turn 5. I mean, this could get played on 4 and then something gets sung, I guess. In fact, actually, it could get played on 4 and then Ursula double sings something, which is really nice because then you get 2 hits. But obviously, the longer the game goes, the less the ability is going to be prevalent because the less the 2 strength is going to be prevalent. So I think it's pretty good. I think it's very playable. But obviously, eventually 2 strength isn't relevant the longer the game goes. Does this double bounce with Deceiver of All? I can't see why it wouldn't.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does. I don't know why it wouldn't.
Both
correct me if I'm wrong.
Deceiver singing and then playing classes as 2 separate entities have been played. So I think this would. So on. So like in the ideal world, you're playing a mega aggro deck against a mega aggro deck on turn 3. Ursula sings Mother Knows Best, and 4 things get returned to your opponent's hand.
I would punch my opponent in the face or scoop. That's so rude.
That's such a great line. I think this is a great turn 4 after in an Ursula deck. The only thing I don't love about the Emerald Amethyst deck that I'm currently playing is most of the time my turn 4 is obviously value out of Ursula, but then I'm usually just putting the rabbit down and drawing another card, and it's like that's fine, but I feel like it's one of the weakest things the deck can do is just play a rabbit go, So I'm very happy with playing this instead. Honestly, like rabbit's great, rabbit is great, but I can see this getting played over rabbit. Honestly,
yeah, like dropping this and then singing Friends and drawing 4 cards and bouncing like that's about as strong of a tempo card. That's about as strong of a tempo play as I've ever heard of.
Love it. Great card. Instantly want to get 4 of them. All right, let's move on. Might take a minute to update this because it's a big PDF file. Boom. No idea who this guy is. No idea where this is from. I'm so sorry. This is genuinely the only picture of this card I can find.
Artist, maybe? I don't know.
Cool. Sorry. I don't know. 3-costed, inkable 3/3 with some lore. Raya, German. Do we have any? I have no idea what this card says.
If I would have known this, I would have been prepared.
I'm sorry.
Hold on. Let me go to Mushu report.
Come on, Mushu. Or somebody in the chat can tell us. I think let's see if I can work it out. I know no German. Once a turn, when this character quests, no, I got no idea. 1 lore.
It doesn't even go back that far.
This is like 3. It feels like this was like 3 weeks.
God, did I? No, yeah.
And it's inkable. Yeah, the music is inkable as well. So good.
Okay, on to Lorcana.
I love your Germany. I don't know. I'm sure it's a great card. Sagengast Heldin.
Load Lorcana. Load.
I like Princess in German. Prinzessin.
Game 1 lore
equal to. When it quests, you get 1 lore for each of your other damaged characters. Yes, I think that might be it. I think I remember now.
Yeah, it's not on Mushu or Lorcana, so I guess they just don't even have the card up because we don't have an image of it.
Number of damaged characters you have in play. Guess that text. Challenges, I imagine, then probably not quests. That sounds more likely.
That sounds right.
We'll see. Anyway,
I'm sure it's a bad card.
It's Raya, so probably.
Probably,
yet to have anything playable. It's challenge, not quest. Cool. Anyway, moving on. Go ahead, Brandon.
Moving on, we have the Snuggly Duckling disreputable pub. There we go. We have.
You can't struggle with the English when I get the German ones. That's not fair.
Hey, I'm from Louisiana, buddy. We struggle. We definitely struggle with English down here. An inkable 2-cost ruby location with a move cost of 2 and 9 willpower. The ability Routine Ruckus. Whenever a character with 3 strength or more challenges another character while here, gain 1 lore. If the challenging character has 6 strength or more, gain 3 lore instead. I love this card because I love Tangled and specifically love this like whole scene and everything going on in the movie for this. I kind of like the card too. I do think it probably still falls into the like challenging matters trap of this sounds really good, but in
Hmm.
practice is just actually
It
bad.
just doesn't really get online yet. Google is saying yes, it works with Challenger. Yeah, cool.
Good to know.
I guess it would, but that's good to be confirmed. I think it's also worth pointing out as well that the character with the strength, it's your character challenging outwards.
Yeah.
Like I've had two people separately now say to me, "So I put stuff here, and then if it gets hit, I gain lore." And I'm like, "No." So
No.
the wording is slightly ambiguous. But yes, when your character that's sat here challenges something, you gain lore depending on how big that character is. Maui gains 3. That's pretty good.
Hmm.
Fish hook, crab, all of those. I don't know, but again, I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I love the tempo loss of this coming down on 2 and then paying 2 to move stuff here. Um,
Yeah.
it's a lot,
And
but
it
I don't
doesn't have
hate
lore on the location either,
it.
which I think is a big drawback.
Yeah. You can activate it every turn. You can activate it every turn you can hit something.
Hit a
That,
character.
yeah, that ain't every turn. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yes, that's the other thing as well. I would love all of these to not say character. Like, let me hit location
Yeah.
with these. It's fine.
I think this deck type would have legs if that were the case. If you could also just challenge a location.
Yeah, if I got something out of hitting into the Queen's mirror chambers or whatever, I don't know. I would dig it. Scar
Yeah.
vicious cheetah is very nice.
Sure.
Again, mega telegraph. That's the only thing, is this.
Hmm.
If you put this down, I know you're playing Scar and not be prepared.
I will
Like,
say, with this having 9 willpower, is that like inconvenient enough to still see play? Like you just don't mess with it, or you're wasting a turn or 2 turns getting rid of this thing because you don't want your opponent to get value out of it. Like McDuck Manor sees play because it gains 2 lore
yeah,
primarily and has 9 willpower.
yeah,
But the 9 willpower is so tough to deal with unless you specifically have just banish location card.
uh-huh. So do you think if this gained lore, then I'd probably be on board because
Hmm.
your opponent's going to be throwing stuff into it and
Yeah.
therefore giving you stuff to hit.
Yeah.
But I partly wonder whether an opponent can just ignore this
Yeah. That's what I'm
and
wondering.
and bounce goats. Like
Yeah.
that's one example, but there's so many other ways of generating lore, without necessarily turning stuff sideways so often. So yeah.
50
50
card
cards, all
spells.
right. I mean, a lot of these things, there's a lot of crap in here. Like
Not good
that's one
ones.
of the
Yeah.
more interesting things, to be honest with you. 3-costed inkable action in Ruby Brawl. Banish chosen character with 2 or less.
I love this card because I hate Ursula, Deceiver of All, and
Mhm.
all set championships. I had to find my dang Pinocchio to even get rid of it. I don't need Pinocchio anymore on the play or on the draw. I can have this and get rid of your Ursulas. Love this card.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Hits a lot of stuff, Hits
Yeah.
Haram, hits Rapunzel's. A lot of playable stuff that this hits. I would absolutely adore it if it was a song. I think it probably still sees some
Good.
play, even though it isn't, honestly.
Yep. I
Yeah.
agree.
So there we go. All right, let's go. Next.
Tor the Florist, an inkable 5-cost 4/7 with 1 lore vanilla. I mean, big guy, but he's a vanilla common. Great in
Yeah.
draft. Outside of that, probably not.
There you go. See, a lot of them are going to be this kind of speed, I think, folks, today. 4-costed inkable 3/3 for 2 lore. Gunther, interior designer. Dreamborn
Gunther.
ally. Sad-eyed puppy. When this character is challenged and banished, each opponent chooses one of their characters and returns that card to their hand. Hate it. Mega trap.
Gunther loves interior design. Sorry,
Beautiful.
I just have the song stuck in my head now.
I love how the Dreamborn ones are these guys doing the thing. Like it's
I
it's
love
not
it.
dreaming of interior design. He is an interior designer here. It's so good.
I got so excited to see this. I hope we see all of them. I love it.
But mechanically, it's not a good card. I think this falls into the same trap that Milo Thatch from the last set did.
Yeah.
When you first read it, you go, "Oh, good tempo, something off the board." I don't want to let my opponent pick something up that they get to choose. Yeah,
nope,
it's not good. All right. Boom.
Yes, be king undisputed. I forgot about this card. I'm excited about this card. because it has great art and is also, I think, a good card. It's an uninkable 4-cost action song in Ruby. Each opponent chooses and banishes one of their characters. Sorry for everyone that I just woke up, by the way, that was like just dozing off, screaming into my microphone. I got excited for this card because we already have 2 other lines from Be Prepared that's like in the same like section
They
of
all
the
kind of do
song.
the same thing as well, right? They all like, or they do a similar
Kinda, yeah.
job.
It's like removal.
Be Prepared has now gone back up as the song with most cards from it.
Oh, has it really?
Yeah, well, it was tied with Let It Go, which had
Okay.
2.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this card.
Yeah, it's a good card. Gets better in multiplayer.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm kind of okay with letting songs. I'm kind of okay with letting songs off if they're uninkable. Honestly, like it's like, yes, it's uninkable, but the
Sure.
song is kind of allows it to be. I think. Yeah, I think this sees play.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right, next up, 4-costed inkable action song in amber, Lost in the Woods. All opposing characters get -2 strength until the start of your next turn. I'm not a huge fan of strength modifiers, although the negative strength is becoming more and more prevalent, and then perhaps something that's considerable like this and Kida and then stuff that can get rid of stuff that's low. I think we look at one in a minute that puts everything with a certain low strength at the bottom of the deck. So that, you know, maybe there's something there, but like on the surface with what we've got at the moment, I'm not too fussed on this.
Yeah, so far any card that has lowered strength really hasn't seen play because it's just not all that relevant. But I, like you just said, I wonder if we'll see more cards that can see play, you know, that needs opposing characters to have low strength. So probably doesn't see play yet. Might see play in the future.
All right, next up.
Seldom all they seem, an inkable 2-cost sapphire action song. Chosen character gets -3 strength this turn. Rewind the video about 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I'd go as far as saying that this is even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is absolute trash card. Beautiful
Mhm.
art,
Great
beautiful
art.
art,
Great art, yeah.
but absolute trash. 3-costed inkable 3/3 with 1 lore, Aladdin Brave Rescuer, Floodborn Hero. And this is the first of a series we saw of Shift with alternate costs, all of them
Yes.
being discard. This first one being Shift, discard a location card, and the ability crashing through. Whenever this character quests, you may banish chosen item.
We have better item destruction cards.
We do. I'll be honest with you, I love the concept of alternate costs for Shift, but I don't think any of these are good.
I don't think any of these are good, but I am so excited to see this because this just kind of blows open like so many more possibilities on good cards. So yeah, excited for that.
Yeah, I thanks for not saying new shift mechanic. It's a new shift cost. Yeah, I know what I'm doing.
We're professionals.
I think we go through all of these. Oh no, for some reason, Treasures Untold is next. Is the order of it?
Okay.
Yeah, the
I
order.
have no idea.
Never mind.
I wrote
Okay.
that.
Treasures Untold. Go ahead.
Treasures Untold, an inkable 6-cost sapphire action song. Return up to 2 item cards from your discard into your hand. It's expensive, but
It's way too expensive.
Sapphire, it's probably still too expensive for Sapphire. 6 ink. You don't want to sing this with Gaston. Gaston can do better stuff.
You don't want to sing this with Tamatoa.
No, you definitely don't want to sing this with Tamatoa.
They're the only ones that care, aren't they? Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Aerial item, 1-turn kill enabler. Just draw cards.
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
Look. Ariel's bad. I'm sorry, Dan. I know you just showed up in the chat, and I know you've been trying to make the. I know
just
that.
Saying, hey, everyone.
Yeah, and like I know you love the aerial items thing. I've said it since set 1. The card's bad. Play Tamatoa instead if you want to do items. That's the way to do it. Yeah, probably a bad card. I feel like if this was slightly cheaper, it'd be actually a pretty okay card, but probably bad card.
All right, now we're back to the new shifters. 3-costed Inkable 1/4 with 2 lore. Olaf, Carrot Enthusiast, Floodborn Ally with shift, discard an item. Carrots all around. Whenever he quests each of your other sorry, I should specify discard an item card because it obviously discard means from hand, but also card there is referencing hand. Carrots all around. Whenever he quests, each of your other characters get strength equal to this character's strength this turn. So like a board wide support, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't care. Like again,
Also,
I'm so excited by the concept of the ability and the shift cost, but I just none of these are good.
No, yeah. Which
there's a lie. I think one of them's all right, but we'll get to it in a minute.
Yeah, we'll see.
Next one.
I don't think this card's good. Yeah. Ooh, okay. So actually, I lied. I do like this one. We have a Inkable 3-cost Ruby card, Li Shang of Valorous General, a 3 strength, 2 willpower, 1 lore, Floodborn Hero, shift, discard a character card, and the ability lead the charge. Your characters with 4 strength or more get +1 lore. I wasn't on this card initially, but I do think this could be a finisher in a like weight set deck, that we saw.
That was briefly a thing. I feel like it was a meme deck, that honestly. But
I don't think it was a tier 1 deck, and I don't know that this changes that. But it gives all those cards an extra lore on the turn, and it, if you need a little bit of extra lore on the turn, I could see this finishing games.
You're also not, as other people have said in the chat, you're not shifting this. I don't think you're happy to play this on 3 later on.
Yeah, for 3.
He doesn't do anything. He doesn't need to exert for anything, so he can just be played on 3 with 3. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Scott here says, I'm tripping. Can you just explain the shift discard? The Aladdin costs 3 normally, and if you discard a location, it goes onto a smaller Aladdin. Yep, exactly that. It's just it's a way of sort of playing the card for free with no ink cost at all. You are still a card down because you're obviously getting rid of whatever he's sitting on top of, and you're losing the card from your hand, but it might just be that one thing you need,
That's why it's exciting, because you're not paying any ink for these cards. So if they get if there can be a card that is really good, and you can just ditch a worse card out of your hand or whatever, the cost is, and you're not paying ink for it, which is very strong.
I think so too. So yeah, this one I think sees play, but not necessarily because of the shift mechanic. Next up, a 3-costed Uninkable, because it's Emerald, 2/2 with 1 lore. Diablo Devoted Herald, Floodborn Ally with shift, discard an action card, evasive, and circle far and wide during each opponent's turn. Whenever they draw a card, while this character is exerted, you may draw a card. An awful lot of text for a bulk legendary.
Yeah, this isn't a great legendary. I don't think,
unless I'm missing something, or unless we see other cards, I don't get this at all.
Okay, I'm gonna take this back. This is bad into steel, like most things with low willpower are. This also dies to a couple of the Ruby target stuff. And I guess also gets bounced. The more I talk, the worse this gets.
Do you know what's the best thing though? Is that chat is completely split on this. Literally, look at this.
Some people are like, this card is great.
This card sucks. Next to each other in the chat.
Okay, so I'll say this. I think this is a great multiplayer card. Unless your opponents deal with it, you're drawing 3 cards before your turn comes around. Well, no, because he has to be exerted, so you'd have to shift him. I don't know. I don't think the card's great. It's dies to a lot of stuff. There's lots of outs to it. But at the same time, I thought Morph wasn't going to be great for those same reasons, and Morph is kind of fine. But Morph's less to wait to turn to shift. I don't know. I'm not expecting this card to be amazing.
You're drawing during your opponent's draw phase. It basically replaces itself if it survives. At the minute, you're not shifting this
while it's exerted. Yeah,
so
it has to be exerted.
You're playing this, saying go, they kill it, you move on. It's just Like I
So
said, unless
Floodborne
we
for
see an
Bucky on curve. I guess that still dies to the same issue stuff that Bucky and all the rest die to.
Wolf doesn't take up 3 cards. Yeah. Yeah. You got to play this. You got to discard an action. Yeah. Well, but here's the problem though, is that because so many people are like, "Oh, this is great," I worry that I'm just missing the line.
It
because
should replace.
because
Oh
I
no, yeah,
feel
because
like
you're discarding a card. Yeah,
it doesn't even replace yourself. Yeah, because I think I'm right. I think it's trash.
I think it's overhyped. Bar. I think it's another Bell Archer situation where
It's the same argument that everything dies to Maui. I don't think it is. I think it's
no, because this
no.
sounds to much more than Maui,
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
lot more than Maui, and also is very expensive, even with its shift cost. Requires you to shift it if you want to see the benefits immediately, and then still has to survive a turn before it even like replaces all the trouble you went through
yeah.
to get it on board and make it work.
Espeon says you play the 1 cost on turn 1, then you shift and quest on turn 2, plus play whatever your 2 card was anyway. So, and then they kill it, and you have an empty board and no cards in
And
your
no
hand.
hand. Yeah.
Like it's
You
just not good.
you played a card and got rid of a card.
Yeah,
You shifted a card, so you're still like only have 1 card on board,
and you've had to get rid of a card to shift it, and you've inked 2 turns as well, I assume.
and you get to draw 1 card on your opponent's next turn.
Yeah.
After and then on their turn they hit it with something. They sing Let the Storm Rage On and it goes away. Oh, that's an interesting thing. If your opponent does sing or play Let the Storm Rage On while Diablo is exerted, you still draw a card off of their Let the Storm Rage On when they draw a card.
Oh, okay. Ah, right. Yeah, because
Diablo
it
doesn't
sees
like
it resolve before
banish.
he goes away. Yeah.
Yeah, even though the 2 damage is put on Diablo, Diablo is not banished until after the action completely resolves.
Mm-hmm. He's
So
still in a challenge. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is not good. Fight me. All right, go ahead.
all right. Next, we have Flotsam and Jetsam, Entangling Eels, an Inkable 6 cost 5/5 with 2 lore, Floodborne Ally, Shift, discard 2 cards. Oh my god. And that's it.
The
that's
big
it.
thing, not even that big.
Is it like lower stats than normal for a 6 cost card? I'd have to look.
6/5/5 with 2. I don't think that's awful for a vanilla, but I don't know.
It's not worth discarding 2 cards, I can tell you that.
2 cards is insane.
Unless we get a crazy Flotsam and Jetsam combo this set.
I mean, if you sort of curve out with them, like this can come down and be a 8/5 evasive wards. What's the other thing do? I forget what the other one does. Ward? A
Does it
rush.
give
So you
oh,
don't. So
yeah.
you don't have to shift this. This could come down on if you've curved out. This could come down on 6 and be an 8/5 evasive ward rusher.
I'll probably make that deck. That sounds
Yeah.
fun. Like, it's an
Um,
uncommon, it's slivers, it's fun, basically.
yeah.
Like,
I don't know. These are
it's
all
not
the.
good.
I think all of these, with these and with brooms, I'm just making sure I get 4 of them, and I'm just putting them aside. And I'm like, one day.
I'm bringing it
Yeah.
to multiplayer madness so that I can never play a Flotsam and Jetsam and call it a Flotsam and Jetsam deck.
Yeah, this is a Flotsam and Jetsam deck. I play a Rush Fox. That's good. So if they whole new world, you draw an extra 7 on that last one. Yeah. If that's on the
You
board,
get to individually decide how many cards you draw after the 7. So if you
Yeah.
want to draw 7 more, yeah, you can.
Yeah. And then just in time for it to be prepared to hit. Yeah. I don't know. It's a fun title card, but yeah, it's crap. Next up, 4-costed. This is the other one I think is all right. This is a 4-costed, uninkable 2/4 for 2 lore. Ursula Eric's Bride, Floodborn Villain, Princess Sorcerer, Shift, discard a song. And then whenever this character quest shows an opponent reveals their hand and discards a non-character card of your choice. Yeah, this is the only one that I don't hate. I think the Li Shang is okay, and I think this is okay, but it doesn't get better than okay here. But I think it's the
Yeah.
best of a bad bunch, honestly.
Yeah.
The main reason I think it's the best of a bad bunch because it perfectly shifts onto a card that otherwise is kind of a dead card. The 2-drop Ursula comes down, gets rid of a song, and then that's pretty much it, right? Like it's a 1/3 that maybe quests once and then dies, right? Like it doesn't really do much. So this can come down the next turn, and if you drop that 2-drop Ursula, they show their hand and they've got the steel burn spell, but they've also got a whole new world. Great, because you can I'll get rid of the burn spell straight away, knowing that next turn before the whole new world comes out, I can sing this, or before the grab your swords comes out, or whatever. So. And exactly. Whether it's worth the shift. You can see the Ursula, you see their hand. Not worth the shift. Cool. I'll play my 3-drop Ursula. Is worth the shift. Cool. I'll play this one instead. Now, obviously, I don't know whether Emerald Amber deck is a thing. I think it probably is. I think it's a discard deck, and I think this goes into that. Yeah, I think it's okay. Can you still shift this card like normal? Assuming you mean shift it for a lower ink cost? No. It is either a 4-costed ink card or you discard a song card to shift it. There is no cheaper cost to shift.
And I don't think you can. Can you pay for and put this on top of a card on top of Ursula?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
Based on the text on the card, I don't think you can.
Yeah, shift is is a separate way to play the card. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oops all Ursulas. I think maybe there's an Amber Amethyst. Amber Emerald.
Amber Emerald.
Just a little stroke.
To be fair, there is Ursula in Amethyst also.
There is an Emerald. Yeah. I think I'm okay playing this on 4. Probably. The problem is the big hits you're going to want off this are some of the big steel stuff, and like on 5 they're playing them. They're already coming out of their hand really, if they're doing well. So I don't know. But yeah, I still like it. I like it. I think the art's great. And it's thematic. I was waiting for an Ursula, but in the style of oh god, what's her name?
I don't know. I haven't seen this movie in ages.
I have total mental block. Jessica?
Oh my god. I don't know. I'd be lying if I said I knew.
I just play bare necessities. I mean, yes, it is bare necessities, but it's on a fine body though. Vanessa, thank you, chat. Everyone's truffling on there. Yes, Vanessa, thank you. I was close with Jessica. Yeah, so I was open for
Vanessa's design. It is on the card.
Oh yeah. If you haven't realized that by now that I don't read the white words in the red box on Lorcana cards, then I don't know what you've been watching. Because I just read that little that little white writing in a red box says ability to me.
You're so colorblind.
It's not red.
It's brown.
Yeah, brown? Oh, that's gross. I assumed
it looks
red.
fine. No, it's fine.
Would you guys agree? Even if revealed so far for new shift, it helps create more concepts of cards. Overall, make Lorcana with more options a good thing. Yeah, absolutely. I've said this before. I don't rate any of these massively, but I love the concept of an alternate cost for shift in the same way that in a moment we're going to look at Sing Together. And again, I don't particularly rate any of them, but I love the idea of the ability. Yeah,
I agree. Overall, I'm more excited about the new mechanics than I am like the cards themselves, just because of the possibilities.
I can't believe those boxes are brown. That's so weird. All right, next.
Ooh, love this card. Inkable 4-cost, Amber, Ariel, Singing Mermaid, 3 strength, 3 willpower, 2 lore, Storyborn Hero Princess with Singer 7. You're singing a really high cost card. I don't know that this sees play, if I'm being honest, because the Sing Together songs aren't great.
I think it's a big old red button in a amber ruby deck that needs to be prepared on 5.
Yeah, that's
Like
the one funny thing.
I can't really find another line for it, honestly.
That's the kind of funny thing for this for me is like there's a line that you can play Be Prepared on turn 4 or turn 3 or something
Good
crazy
luck,
through like Pluto and Dock, and then like get this out super fast and then Be Prepared. Not that would be totally unnecessary, but it's kind of funny to imagine playing a Be Prepared before my opponent can even play a Grab Your Sword.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I don't know. The game that knocked me out of my set champs, my top 4 game, it was a mirror match, but my opponent on game 2 and game 3 had 3 Curse Merfolks out on turn 2. Like turn 1, Curse Merfolk, turn 2, 2 more Curse Merfolk.
mhm.
If I was playing Amber Ruby, I'd quite like to be prepared on 4.
Just be prepared.
Like,
Fair, I
wouldn't have
guess.
hated it, honestly. You know, obviously, how often that comes up, how often you're against like mega, you just don't see that mega aggro so much. You know, the sort
Yeah.
of Lilo, Maleficence, Pinocchios, and all that. But you know, it's it's nice to know it's possible now, I guess.
Yeah. Even Be Prepared on 5 isn't terrible.
Yeah, 5 is attainable and perhaps more useful. I loved the meme that it was the little robot in Rick and Morty, and he's like, do you want? He builds a robot at the table to pass the butter.
Yes. Oh my
He's like,
God. I
he's
love
like,
this.
what is
I
my
love this
purpose?
meme.
You pass the butter. Oh, it was just this card. It
Oh
was
my
like, what is my
God.
purpose? You sing "Be Prepared" on 5. Oh.
I absolutely love that scene in that show and love every meme that comes out from it. It's so good.
Yeah, and it just fit perfectly with this.
Yeah.
3-costed Inkable 1/4 for 2 lore. Sisu, Emboldened Warrior, Storyborn Hero, Deity Dragon, Surge of Power. In a brown box, this character gets +1 strength for each card in an opponent's hands. So this was the one today when I was putting all these cards together for this presentation, that I was like, I had never seen this card before in my life. I completely missed it.
Really?
Reveals
This is
completely
one of
missed.
the better reveals we've had so far, I think. This is a good
Yeah.
card.
Yeah, I think so. It's good. Goes in Ruby
Like,
Amethyst quite
I was
nicely,
about to
I think.
say, I think this just goes in Ruby Amethyst now. Like,
Yeah,
it's just a good card.
yeah.
Lots of strength, lots of lore.
Yeah, versatile. Quests away with a 4 on the book. It's pretty good on 3, and
Mhm.
most likely is always going to be a 3/4/4/4/5/4.
Yeah.
You know, like it's on the packaging.
It's
Sure,
on the
I don't care.
packaging.
Yeah, honestly, an hour or two ago when I was putting all because I have to take all the cards and put them each in a Photoshop file and then merge them as a PDF for them to show here. And I picked up this and I was like,
So
this
inconvenient.
card, I don't know what this card is. I just don't know what this card is. But yeah, I dig it. Yeah.
Not better than many.
And
I think
though, I
I don't
don't know.
know. I think in some metas it might be. I think it might be.
Depends
I
depends
definitely
what
agree. There's
level of
definitely
basic
times where
is.
Minnie's better. Like, but she's better for a different reason than this is good, I think.
Dice to Fox. Yep.
So does
A lot
everything
does.
else, let's be
Yeah.
honest.
Fox is a broken card. Tell me something I
Yeah.
don't know.
Not to get on the topic, but if I were to ban a single card, it's Fox. Next, we have an Inkable 4-cost steel card. Raja. Did I say that right? I don't remember that.
Raja? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Royal Protector. 3 strength, 4 willpower, 2 lore, storyborn ally. The ability Steady Gaze. While you have no cards in your hand, characters with cost 4 or less can't challenge this character. Bad card.
Yeah, I don't any of these like while you have no cards in your hand. I don't rate Tiana for the same reason. Played against Tiana in my set jams, had no issues with her. I don't like it. While you have no cards in your hand says while you are losing the game, this thing happens.
Yeah. It's just not good enough to not have cards in your hand. It's like the name of the game. It's not really the name of the game. Is Disney Lorcana.
Oh, Anthony! Look, speak of him and he shall come. Anthony's just turned up. Sorry, I had Merfolk fingers yesterday. It was Sunday, but yes, shuffle the deck, cut it myself. Game 3, another 3 fucking. I'm sorry, another 3 Merfolk out on curve. I'm like, cool. I got well. Enjoy your play, Matt.
Look, I'm traumatized by 3 Curse Merfolk. I don't know if I've told this on the show already, but for set champs, Franz and I were testing. I think you were there.
Mm.
And I was playing Steel Song. He was playing Amethyst Emerald. And I had a grab your sword in hand. I think he had a snake, a fox, and like something else on board that was all damaged, would die to swords. And I was like, probably not getting much more use out of this. I'm playing against Emerald, need to get this song out of my hand. Play grab your sword, wipe his board. The very next turn, he's like, 3 Curse Merfolks.
3
Like,
things you wanted to hit with that grab your sword you just played.
yeah. And then I lost the game promptly after that.
Yeah, that's a good comeback. Scott says solid draft card, maybe. Yeah, I don't hate
I
this in
think
draft,
so.
honestly.
Yeah, in draft,
Yeah.
I think it's actually pretty okay because
Like,
you probably don't have many cards in hand.
you probably don't. You're much more likely to have no cards in hand in a draft than you are in constructed. But even without that bit, like, it's just not an awful body. A 3/4 with 2
No.
lore in draft is fine. So yeah,
Mhm.
I would probably draft this, honestly. Obviously depends on what the other pick is. But there's a possibility that this is my pack one pick one, honestly, if the other rare is not good. I don't
Yeah.
mind this at all for draft. Yeah, good shout. 3 costed Inkable 1/4 with 2 lore. Jacques, connoisseur of climbing. Storyboard. I thought we got a foreign card for a second then. As I got the first word said. Storyborn allies, sneaky idea when you play this character, opposing character gains reckless during their next turn. They can't question, they must challenge your Fable. Common card. Again, I'd probably see some draft play, otherwise I'm not sure.
Maybe. It's not good for constructed.
Yeah, I don't want to have.
Reckless isn't good enough.
I just don't want to have your stuff swinging into my stuff. Even if I'm playing all the stuff that, benefit, the Curse Merfolks and the Flynns and stuff, like, I still don't want
I
you
don't
to
want
hit
you
them.
to challenge my stuff. And
Like, I want you
even
to have
then,
to choose to hit them because you really don't, there's no other option. But like, if I'm giving you the reasoning to.
and it's really more like not quest than force challenge because you can still
Yes.
sing and get around
Yeah.
it sometimes. So
Yeah. Yeah, so it's fine. I'd maybe draft it, but otherwise, no. I don't think it's hot.
no.
Next
is Khan Beloved Steed, an inkable 2 cost in Ruby with 3 strength, 2 willpower, 1 lore. Storyborn ally vanilla.
Yep.
There you go.
That's it. Until we see a Khan Floodborn, you can forget that card exists. 6 costed inkable 4/7 with 1 lore. TikTok ever present pursuer. Storyborn ally with evasive. Again, a draftable. I don't hate this.
Very
A
draftable.
4/7 that probably quest. If this had 2 lore, it would be really good. Sorry, yeah, this would be great.
It'd be really good in constructed,
Yeah.
I think, if it had 2 lore.
It's amazing how that 1 lore makes a difference. But I think if this was 2 lore, I'd be like, ooh.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, it's probably a bit of a draft bomb. Ally? Yeah, ally. Well, I mean, he's kind of like an ally through necessity of Peter Pan, I guess. But yes, I
the
don't
enemy of your
the
enemy
ally.
is my friend, I guess, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. The other one, so somebody mentioned it out, and I forgot to mention it at the time. I'll come back to this in a second. But yeah, here, all the way back, the first card we showed off today, the Muses. I don't know why they don't have the classification of deity. I don't know why they don't. They should have. They are.
Yeah,
They are literally
true.
goddesses. They are literally daughters of Zeus. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but there we go. It just made me think of that, and I go back to it. Next up.
Cricky, the Lucky Cricket, an inkable 5 cost in Emerald, 3 strength, 4 willpower, 3 lore, Storyborn ally, with the ability Spreading Good Fortune. When you play this character, your other characters get +3 strength this turn. Actually, after reading that, I don't hate this card. It's a huge lore, plus you can like boost all your characters to maybe make efficient trades.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, all of these came as like a little, oh, look at all the allies together. And I think I kind of maybe skimmed over them because the first couple were so bad. Like,
Same.
yeah, this is terrible, actually. I there's a weird, like, 5 emerald slot that's like this, Ray, Lucifer, And they're all like, oh, they're all right. You know what I mean? But like, none
Yeah.
of them are like absolutely. Oh my god, yeah, this is the one I play. Like, and I
Yeah.
feel like if you're playing a deck that kind of wants that sort of Emerald 5 slot, like all of these you could play as like a 2 of, and like it's kind of just like dealer's choice. You know, like they're all fine. Like, and I think that this kind of now gets added along with those. Yeah, but yeah, this could be pretty good. I
Yeah, I
think.
don't hate it. Draft it.
Yeah, I draft it. I draft a lot of these ones actually. Oh, that means we're getting a location. Yep, there we go. It's me. 3-costed, uninkable location in Amethyst Ursula's Lair, Eye of the Storm, with a 2-move cost, 6 willpower, 1 passive law, and Slippery Halls. Whenever a character is banished in a challenge whilst here, you may return them to your hand, and Seat of Power, character's name Ursula, get +1 law while here. I don't know.
This is worse than Queen's Castle. So
Yeah, I think in a deck that wants to play this, which is basically Emerald Amethyst, you're playing Queen's Castle. So why play this?
yeah.
All right, next.
Okay,
I don't
next.
know. Maybe that could see a little bit of play. Maybe, but
I just don't like. I don't like that it names Ursula, even though most of the Ursulas are like fine.
Yeah.
It's just expensive to move. It's uninkable, and the bouncing thing is meh. Anyway, we have the first Sing Together song, an inkable 7 cost in Amber. Look at this family action song. Sing together 7, any number of your or your teammates' characters with total cost 7 or more may exert to sing this song for free. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. You may reveal up to 2 character cards and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. This is so expensive for look at the top 5 and pick 2 characters versus like look at the top 4 and pick 1 character.
Which is 4.
Which is 2, right? Would be our guest.
Yeah, I guess it's 2? What's part of your world?
Part of your world's a discard.
And it's 4, is it?
I think it's 3, uninkable.
3? Oh, man. Oh, yeah, this is way expensive then. I thought this cost 4 to do once. I'm totally getting mixed up.
I'm pretty sure Be Our Guest is an inkable 2 cost. It's look at the top 4, pick a character.
Yeah, this is expensive. I mean, it's not a terrible ability in a more character heavy deck. And I know for a fact that if I played this, my top 5 would be the other 3 copies of this.
Yeah.
Always
goes.
Yeah. It's way too expensive. Then I thought it was a little bit expensive. I kind of forgot what the base rate for this was. So yeah. Next one is 10-costed, uninkable action song. Second star to the right. We sing together 10. Chosen player draws 5 cards.
Wow.
Again, just way too expensive, I think.
Yeah.
I saw cards incredible, but it's still so expensive.
It's incredible, and I saw so many people talking about how great this is if Ursula can sing it, and now you get 10 cards in hand and all this other kind of stuff. But I'm just like, when are you going to have 10 characters cost of cards in play? Like, and you're not already winning.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need the 5 cards. You don't need the 10 cards.
You've got 10 cost on the board, and you're like, do you know what I really need now? Is a 6th of my deck in my hand. Yeah. That'll get me across the finish line.
I need extra cards. And like, maybe this goes into Jafar. Yes, you can mill your opponent. It is just so expensive. And like the killer for this card really is it being uninkable. Because if you draw it in the first 5 turns of your game, it's just stuck. It's a dead card.
What about Ursula and 2 Jafars on the board? Win the game.
I guess, yeah.
Absolute tier 0 deck.
I want to see someone do it now. At least do it once. So Chad does bring up something. I think most of these Sing Together cards are meant for co-op. and the
Yeah,
Illuminator's Quest. I don't
sure.
think these are really meant to be played for constructed, which is usually how we view cards and how we analyze cards. In co-op, I'm sure it's great. I'm sure you and your opponent
It's
will have.
only one of you drawing the
Oh,
5, though.
sure,
Yeah.
sure,
Well, I don't know.
sure.
I've not played any of this co-op stuff, so I don't know, but, you know.
But where you can work together and defeat Ursula, I'm sure it's not that bad of a card because you essentially got double the characters on board than you would normally have,
Yeah.
or more depending on how many people you play with.
Yeah.
uh
I don't
I'm sure it's fun.
I don't love cards in a main set that are specifically built for a fringe mode of play, personally. I don't love seeing like commander focus cards in standard sets of Magic, and I don't necessarily love these if that's what they're built for, being in my standard set, so
I don't have enough experience with stuff like that to have much of an opinion on it. My initial thoughts are that I hope that people that play Lumineer's Quest go, oh, there's thousands of more cards that I can collect and play with this game. So I want to go open booster packs and collect those. And maybe these cards attract those. It's like, oh, this card's really good for Ursula's Quest. So I want to go rip packs and find it or buy it or whatever. But I get it either way.
Sorry, that one there, as Brian says, lasting commander cards in mono sets. Yep, hate it. Always have hated it. Hate it in this as well. Disney has a plan. I don't think people are looking outside the box. Context?
I don't really know what that means. Yeah.
You have to give us a bit more on that one. Very often when you're typing in the chat, we've already been talking for 30 seconds, so sometimes it's difficult to know what exact point you're referring to. Yeah, I read it and I was like, oh yeah, we don't have Under the Sea yet.
Yeah, it was surprising. Oh yeah, so I have for anybody interested, I have a Spotify playlist that I keep up with that is just songs that are in Lorcana, but also in there. So like it's just fun Disney songs you can listen to and think about the cards while you listen. I was surprised and I was like, oh yeah, we don't have Under the Sea in the playlist yet in the game at all. So that's interesting. It's an uninkable 8-cost action song, sing together 8. Put all opposing characters with 2 strength or less on the bottom of their players' decks in any order. Really strong ability, I think. Really expensive though.
It's an 8-cost uninkable.
Yeah, that's
gross.
really the killer. Yeah.
Yeah, really good ability, but I feel like it's just so overcosted. But
you can sing most of these group songs on turn 4 or 5. Sure,
if you've got a really great board state.
I was about to say, but like with all of your characters,
yeah,
I don't think the cards are good enough to exert all of my characters for no benefit other than the card ability.
Is anyone else sure the Ursula return cards are different board and not legally constructed? They are legal, yeah. We've already know that. So the ones that are from the Ursula's return box with the little sort of black tentacles on them are perfectly playable. It's just a alternate art treatment. Yeah, I don't know about this one. If any of these see play, it's this, I think. But
probably this one.
Yeah.
I
still don't love it. 6-costed inkable action song in Ruby, A Pirate's Life. Sing together 6. Each opponent loses 2 lore. You gain 2 lore. It's been surprising, actually, how little of the losing lore stuff gets played. But
I always laugh when I hear people talk about uninkable cards, and like the reason they're uninkable is because they're really strong. I saw somebody mentioning this in the official Discord today, and I always think of the like uninkable 6-cost Rapunzel that like when you play loses a lore or something, and I'm just like, yep, those super broken cards.
We don't know why cards are uninkable as players.
Not really.
There seems to be no reason to it. I'm sure they are. There's absolute hardcore math figuring it out back at base, but we'll never know because it seems to be like they throw a dart at a board.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't love this. Well, here's an interesting one. I had to Google this song because I saw it. I was like, oh yeah, yo ho, a pirate's
Mhm.
life for me. That's not that song. That's
No, it's
from
not.
Pirates of the Caribbean Ride.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I don't know what this song is then. And I went back and listened to it, and it's like a little 30-second thing in the movie where like
Yeah.
a couple of the pirates sing around while they're cleaning up or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Next up.
Dig a little deeper. An uninkable 8-cost action song. Sing together 8. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Put 2 into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. Again, really expensive. What else does this in Sapphire? How far I'll go is 4 uninkable. You put 1 in your inkwell. You draw 1. That's a lot of cards off the top of your deck, though. That's pretty good filtering.
I don't hate this. 7 and 2 into hand is pretty solid, but yeah, just 8 uninkable, man. It's just going to be a dead card in your hands so often.
Yeah, I think that's really just the killer on all these cards is, I mean, especially for an uninkable card, it has to be flexible. Like you have to be able to play it in a lot of different scenarios. It can't be something pigeonholed. And even for that reason, including just 1 or 2 of these into your deck feels hard because if you open it, it's just going to sit there for forever until you can force yourself to use it. Otherwise, it's just going to not be used. And I think a lot of times people are going to find these are just going to brick in your hands because
I think you're
although
making a fair point that Inkable matters a little less in Sapphire with like Fishbone and Ramp in general, but
sure, like yeah, I mean, I guess if there's any ink that can get away with a card like this, it's probably Sapphire, but I don't know. The idea of exerting multiple characters to pay for a cost of a card is awesome. I love it. But it's also like the card needs to be doing something really good if I'm having to exert the majority of my characters. Because unless you're already winning, you probably don't have more than like 3 or 4 characters on board anyway. And so if you're having to use more than half of that just to get an ability off, you're giving up a lot of opportunity cost for challenging and questing, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. It's a huge tempo shift, honestly. Beta Llama here says Jafar deck, maybe. Assuming you mean the Amethyst Jafar, this card doesn't draw you a single one. Like you gain no lore off this card with Jafar. You're not drawing any cards with this card. You're looking at 7 and you're putting them in your hand, but you've drawn none. So it doesn't work there, I don't think, unless it's something else you're referring to. It's a shame. I don't like a lot of these.
This one might be the worst.
Engar's not inkable. The mob song. It's not even as good as 2 Grab Your Swords, which is what it should be. At least as good as.
Oh my god.
Deal 3 damage to up to 3 chosen characters. Or locations, I guess. Can we just move on? Oh, this one is good? It's not.
This is so bad. This is so bad.
I'm sorry.
You can't even select the same thing. Like you have to select different things and only deal 3 damage to them. Grab Your Swords is just better. You're dealing 2 to everything, like minus locations, but who cares? How many times have you baboomed a location? Let's be real. Like, fewer times than you've grabbed your sorted characters, I would imagine.
Yeah, this is a awful card. All right, moving on. Please, next one, please be something good. Okay. I got stuff to talk about with this one.
Yeah, not terrible. Elsa, Storm Chaser, uninkable 3-cost, 1/4 with 1 lore, Storyborn Hero Queen Sorcerer. The ability Tempest. You can exert Elsa, and then chosen character gains Challenger +2 and Rush this turn. I like the ability. I don't think the card's good, but interesting, fun ability.
See, I don't hate this card actually. I think it's fine. I think this is a point again, continues to point out that Fox is a broken card.
Yes.
for me personally. That's
Yeah.
what this does. This says to me, "Oh, this is okay, but Fox exists, and for as long as Fox exists, then that's what you've got to beat
Yeah.
in this slot, basically." But yeah, I don't hate this, honestly. Basically, this comes down on 3, and then can turn anything else you play into a rush card that's beefy. But it's just but Fox is also a thing, and that happens at the same time. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't need to be unkable. Exactly. Like
Yeah,
it
that's
just
the thing.
shows us again that Fox and Snake are badly designed because the bounce is not a cost. So.
If I had a nickel for every time somebody in our comments said Snuggly Duckling synergy, I'd probably have $10 tonight.
I mean, it's it is,
Sure.
in as much as anything that says challenger on is, but just because cards work with other cards doesn't make that good. You know, two
Mhm.
mid cards working together doesn't make them better than them being mid.
Yeah.
um, this could see a little bit of play somewhere. I feel this has got
I don't
promise, but
I think
I'm on board with this more than you, obviously, but that's
yeah.
fine. Um, that's
Ooh,
fine.
white
Wait,
Elsa.
there we go. Why does that? But it does. Forecasted uninkable. I know people are going to say this is good as well. Forecasted inkable location in steel, the wall, border fortress, 2 move cost and 8 willpower. Protect the realm. While you have an exerted character here, your other locations can't be challenged.
Good location.
I wait to
First comment.
I wait to say good location. Are you guys doing it on purpose? You memeing on us right now?
Oh man. Amazing Snuggly Duck synergy. You're right. There is synergy with Snuggly Ducking here, I guess.
Oh, yeah, it's not good.
That's about it.
Next. Uh,
Next, we have Ling, Imperial Soldier. Inkable 3 costs 3/3 for 1 lore, Storyborn ally, full of spirit. Your hero characters get +1 strength. I've liked the hero typo stuff that we've been seeing a bit more in this set. I don't
yes.
know that this is like great, but I
No,
don't
I
know.
think this is one of the weaker ones, but I'm happy to see the hero stuff. I also think it's spread across a few colors as well, which is going to be a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
And I feel like steel isn't the color. I mean, Hercules, um, the print, like some of the bodyguards, I suppose
Mhm.
maybe. But strength plus and minuses are just one of the most uninteresting mechanics in the game for me personally. But a better Grand Duke. The next comment says a Grand Duke is
Grand Duke is
better.
better.
You guys are blowing my mind tonight. I, I'm absolutely blowing my mind. Next up, 5 costed inkable 4/7 with 1 lore. Chen Pao, Imperial Soldier, Storyborn ally with bodyguard. I will draft this all day long, and that's about it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, great body.
Big butt on a bodyguard is good.
Yeah, and pretty big
Strength.
strength, to be honest, really, for bodyguards usually.
Yeah.
But I mean, stat wise, it's probably good for a bodyguard. Bodyguards on 5 is already not seeing.
Yeah, I think so.
Justice Stephanie would there say best bodyguard stats for that cost in the game? I believe it. I couldn't call them all off the top of my head, but I completely believe it. Whether or
Yeah,
not
we can't trade.
I still kind of want something that's doing something as well. Like not just big numbers aren't enough for me really. But yeah, I don't hate this.
Doesn't
Dodges
die to
Medusa,
Maui,
doesn't
dodges
trade with
Medusa.
Maui. Yeah, maybe this is
Wow,
all right.
this is pretty good.
Yeah, I won't just completely change my opinion. I feel like this is fine in limited and probably won't see constructed play, but everything you're saying in the chat, you're completely right.
I'll be honest. There was a point during the Into the Inkland metagame where blue steel players were trying to find like different 5 or 6 cost characters. I'm assuming 5 for Whole New World.
Yeah.
And to the point where they were playing like Cerberus.
Mm.
I think you play this over
Oh
Cerberus
yeah.
every day in that
Yeah.
scenario. So I think it could definitely see playing constructed
Maybe.
if the meta,
Maybe just something that stings Whole New World and is happy to sit there exerted
yeah,
next turn.
doesn't die to Medusa and stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty good. All right, cool. Next up.
Next up, we have Chifu, Imperial Advisor, an inkable 3 cost, 0 strength, 5 willpower, 1 lore character, storyborn ally. Overly cautious is the ability. While this character has no damage, he gets +2 lore. Interesting.
I feel like I've said it a lot tonight, but I feel like I would. He's really good to draft, but I don't know if he like is Smee 2.
Smee's 2.
Like I
Two.
think of him as like a bit like a Smee.
I don't agree.
Like kind of doing the same kind of role.
I think Smee is so good because Smee trades with everything that early.
Yeah, well, this guy
is like a big win. Yeah, like this guy quests for 3 and then he's banished, basically.
I'd say I don't think he is. I think it probably takes 2 turns to get rid of him.
I think you challenge him, you bounce it with Fox, and then he dies.
Oh, yeah. That's fair. Yeah. That's fair, actually, because he doesn't kick back anything.
Yeah.
But outside of that single play, and who's playing Fox on 3? I mean,
who's
really.
playing Foxes on 3 in this economy?
Outside of that single play, I think you get 4 lore out of this guy.
Yeah, maybe.
But that's it. Like, that's it. You get 4 lore, and
lose a lot of tempo.
And I know, like they spend a turn turning something sideways and not questing.
Do you play this in a Emerald Steel discard aggro deck?
Emerald Steel aggro
with Cursed Merfolk and Flynn's and everything else,
and just give them something else to hit to leave your Merfolks open.
It's an aggro deck. You're playing Merfolks and Flynn's to quest to 20 as fast as you can.
Yeah,
and this will quest for 3.
This will quest for 3, and then they'll think, well, at least I can hit this for nothing, and your Merfolks and Flynn's live another day. I don't hate that. I don't hate that.
I don't think it's worth playing.
I also think this sits behind Bodyguards real nicely as well.
Maybe. We haven't seen Bodyguards shine too brightly yet. And I could see that. I could see a world where a Bodyguard deck is pretty good.
I mean, yes, the problem with this being played in Merfolk and Flynn is that you're right. Turn 3 is also your Medusa, your Ursula turn.
Turn 3 is an important turn in the majority of the ink colors. So
this is probably not doing enough on 3.
No, I'm shifting Robin Hood.
I still don't hate this as a concept. This thing that sits and quests and lets them do something about it. Like, I don't hate it.
Yeah.
And also, I will draft the hell out of this. I think it's a great card in draft. I think it gets you 4 lore in draft. All right. Oh, this is a good one. I think who read this one out? I don't know. Go ahead.
It's your turn.
Is my turn?
Yeah.
1 costed inkable item in Ruby, Imperial Proclamation, call to the front. Whenever one of your characters challenges another character, you may pay 1 less for the next character you play this turn. It's a lantern for Ruby.
Yeah, I think this is pretty fine. It's super cheap, goes in an item deck because it's a pretty good item card. It just sits there and threatens like exert your stuff and let me ramp.
And not only do I get to kill you, I get to ramp. Yeah.
So I actually like this card quite a bit.
Yep. Me too. It again continues to suffer from the same problem that all of this when challenge ... in that you might just not be able to challenge.
Yeah.
But I still think this is pretty solid. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the reason it's different is because it just sits there, and I mean, unless your opponent is going to spend 3 or whatever to remove this item, every time they exert or challenge or sing, they have to know that they're giving you an opportunity to pay less for your cards
to get value. Yeah,
it's pretty good.
And yes, as Josh and Stephanie point out there, anything that multiple challenges in a turn, like Scar, it would
Mhm.
stack with this. Yeah. So if Scar
Mhm.
hits 2 or 3 things, you pay 2 or 3 less with this. So
Do multiple of these items stack? Like, if I have 3 Imperial and Proclamations and I challenge once, it's pay
I,
3 less for the next thing?
I believe so. Yeah, in the same way that multiple flutes see one
Like
song.
lanterns and stuff? Okay.
Well, all the lanterns work independently. Still, you're just exerting them to make them one cheaper. But the way I would reference this is flutes. 3 flutes would see one song get played and give
Okay.
you 3 lore. I would assume that 3 of these would see one
Yeah,
challenge, give you 3 ink. Yeah.
that's pretty good.
Again, somebody else can correct me, but I think these would stack. Yeah. So again, you throw one of these there every time you see it, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. It just keeps getting better and better. Yeah, I dig it.
Vision
All right.
Slab and inkable 3 cost emerald item at the start of your turn. If an opposing character has damage, gain 1 lore, and then damage counters can't be removed. I kind of like this card.
I think I do as well. I think
It's
it's a little bit more fringe than the last one we just saw, but I think this is still a pretty good item. Yeah.
This is basically Emerald's Sleepy's Flute or Sorcerer's Spellbook, in my opinion. And
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
in
Go ahead.
both of those cards, like sometimes they're played, sometimes aren't. Kind of
Mhm.
just depends on the meta and what's happening. And I think this is a similar thing. Like this card isn't crazy, but 1 lore return is good.
Yeah, I think so. I think it probably definitely finds home in Emerald Steel.
It has to, yeah.
Like, that's where it really wants to be. But this could see playing just other Emerald decks, and obviously the second ability there I don't think is incredibly prevalent. I mean, like really the only thing I think of at the moment is Rapunzel, honestly, with the trapped. But the more we see this damage moving and stuff, the
Mhm.
more this will matter. So
Yeah.
yeah, 3 again. The problem it's going to suffer from here is 3 is such a big slot, just But I feel like you could probably play this at any point in the game that you see it, and
Yeah. Well,
you
and like
probably
the thing about Emerald cards, like I think about something like Flynn Rider. So you play in Flynn Rider, they need to challenge it. They're going to discard a card, and something's going to get damaged.
yeah.
It's very likely not going to be banished, which
Mhm.
is exactly where you want to be, like with this card.
Yeah.
So,
So
I,
unfortunately, though, the thing with Flynn is Flynn comes down on 2. On turn 3, turn sideways, you play this. Next turn you again law. Yeah, so it doesn't take him that long to get it there, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I think this is really good. I think this is solid. Yeah, it's good. I'm glad we're getting into some better stuff now because the mid of this run was pretty rough.
yeah,
Um, 5 costed, uninkable, 1/5 for 1 law, Pepper Madrigal, Weathermaker, Storyborn ally Madrigal. It looks like rain. When you play this character, you may exert chosen opposing character. That character can't ready at the start of their next turn unless they're at a location. Just a lot of words there. When you play this character, you may exert chosen opposing character. That character can't ready at the start of their next turn unless they're on location. Okay, so it's the better version of this ability, which is that they don't ready.
yeah,
Um, being at a location is few and far between, honestly. So I kind of ignore that for the most part. I think,
yeah.
but 5 costed on inkable. Oof.
Yeah, that's sort of tough, but I do wonder if it finds a home in like a sapphire amethyst deck. Because I've seen people play some Blurple, that's what people are
Mm.
calling it. And the whole idea of the deck is basically ramp, play Elsa. I forget the subtype. It's not Snow Queen, it's something else. The one that does this to 2 characters.
Yeah. Queen, Spirits of Winter.
Spirit of Winter, there you go. Play Elsa Spirit of Winter, bounce Elsa, player again, bounce Elsa, player again, because you just have a ton of ink and you can do that. So I
Mm-hmm.
wonder if a card like this fits into a deck like that is just trying to lock your opponent's board out
Just
so
doing
that
it
you
a bit
can,
earlier.
so that you can quest with a bunch of your stuff. But other than that, it is very expensive and uninkable, so probably doesn't see play.
Yeah.
Inkable
William here says it's an action with a 1/5 uninkable attached. I mean, yeah, I mean, you can say that about anything that does something when it hits the board, right? Like that's. I think it sees playing Madrigal Tribal. Not sure if it sees anywhere else. Yeah, I mean, like I wonder if we're going to have more than 15 madrigals so we can pick and choose which we play in tribal to start off with.
Mhm.
I don't know whether
Yeah.
we will. I don't know. We might be up to that already. I'm not sure.
Between these action cards and characters, we might. This is Bruno's Return, uninkable 2-cost action. Return a character card from your discard to your hand, then remove up to 2 damage from chosen character. I don't like this card. It's not a song. It's uninkable. I would rather play Hades, Infernal Schemer, and loop Hades, or have the option to loop Hades, than this.
Okay. What? I can't. I need. What is Party World? That's how I know whether this is good or not. Is whether it's, you know. And I can
I
never
think
remember
it's
what Party
this,
World
but
is.
it's a song, and it doesn't do damage, or
Oh,
it doesn't
not.
remove damage.
It's 3. Return a character from your discard.
Yeah, and it's a
Yeah. So
song,
this is
right?
1. Yeah, this is 1 cheaper, but not singable, and just 2 damage as well. So,
Yeah, I don't like it.
All right. Fine. Forecasted inkable 2/5 with 1 lore. Camillo Madrigal, prankster, storyborn ally Madrigal with many forms. At the start of your turn, you may choose one. The character gets +1 this turn, or this character gains Challenger 2 this turn. Uncommon. It's fine, I guess. What I love about this is it's incredibly thematic. That he can be a quester or a challenger because he's a shapeshifter, right? Like he changes around. This could be a 2/5 with Challenger 2 and 2 lore, and it doesn't have to have the ability. The choice you are making is absolutely arbitrary.
So you're saying it could have both?
It wouldn't make a difference. You're either challenging or you're questing for 2.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Outside of a couple of things that's looking at lore counts, you know, like item, the lucky dime or whatever,
Yeah.
like it makes no difference. This could be a 2/5 for 2 lore with Challenger 2, and that ability could not exist, and it would be the same card. You're either questing for 2 or you're challenging for 4/5.
Do you think the flavor would still
No, that's
shine
what I
through?
mean. It's completely there for flavor, which is fine. But I just think it's like people will. I remember when this came out, people were like, "Oh, that's neat. How you can pick and choose what you want to do." That you can always pick and choose with Challenger and lore.
You can only do one. You could quest and ready with LeFou and then challenge. There's a couple of things you could do.
Yeah, so technically it's a little worse than it would be if it was just both.
Yeah.
But it just you're making it more complicated for flavor. And also
That's
I guarantee this is going to be one. If this sees any sort of play, this is going to be the card that people go, "Oh crap! I didn't pick what Camillo's doing. Sorry, can I do it now?" Or this is going to get missed so often. You're meant to pick before you draw a card.
Yeah, in the set phase,
it's going to get missed so much.
Yeah.
So, all right, move on. Next one. As soon as
it decides to.
There we
go. Isabella Madrigal, Golden Child, inkable 5 cost, 3 strength, 4 willpower, 1 lore, storyborn ally. Madrigal, evasive, with an ability Ladies First. During your turn, if no other character has quested this turn, this character gets +3 lore, and the ability Leave It to Me. Whenever this character quests, your other characters can't quest for the rest of the turn. This is a real interesting card. I don't know how I feel about it.
I think I like this.
Like quests for 4. Just has 4 lore if no other characters quested for the turn so far.
Yeah. Bedlam pointing out Dime target. Yeah, Dime sees this with the 4 lore on it before you've done anything else. I don't know whether it's in the Dime deck. I don't know. Maybe. I think this, if we're going to see this Challenge Masters deck, this is another card that makes me think it's Ruby Amethyst, because I think this sits there and quests while your other stuff is cleaning up.
Yeah. Evasive is great.
Yeah, it's not terrible. This it's either a 3/4 evasive that quests for 1, or if they've got no evasive, if they've got no answer to evasive, this quests for 4 and your other stuff sits back.
Yeah.
But if you're able to just quest a lot, then this is just a quest for 1 along with everything else, right? I think this is good. I think it could even see a home in Ruby Amethyst. Honestly, like I think this is pretty good.
Yeah, I can see a world where this is pretty dang good.
Mm.
Whenever this character quests, yeah. So just as soon as it quests,
Your other
yeah.
guys can't
I mean,
quest. So you, like I say, if you think you can get away with turning everything sideways, you quest this last. But if you know there's you're a bit of a stalled out and they don't have an evasive answer, you just quest this, right? Like
yeah,
I like that, but it's got those options there. Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's a good card.
yeah.
I think
I
it's the best
agree.
Madrigal card we've seen.
I agree. I think it's pretty good.
I forgot who read the last one.
I did.
Right. Forecasted Inkable 5/3 with 1 law Benger. Mutige Vermittler. All right, next one.
Vitalisphere, an inkable 1-cost ruby item with the ability Extract of Ruby. You can pay 1 ink and banish the item. Then chosen character gains rush and gets +2 this turn. I like this.
I think again, like any cheapy item, I think you have to look at, just because I feel like a 1-costed item that says do nothing would probably could see some play with, you know. Like,
yeah.
So I think this is worth looking at. Yeah, I don't hate this.
Yeah, it's a much better croquet mallet, I think.
Mm-hmm. Was that just thing gets rush?
Yeah, it was like uninkable 1 cost an amethyst, banish it, something gets rush.
Yeah. The order might be a little mixed up on these. I'm pretty sure that
I'm just following the whatever you put up on here.
Somebody's saying we might have missed one. Casa Madrigal. Oh no, it should have been number 40.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there it is. I don't know why we skimmed past that one. 1-costed inkable, 1 move cost 6 willpower. At the start of your turn, if you have a character here, gain a law. I mean, it's comes down. If you, I don't know, maybe.
I don't know how, yeah, like I'm wondering. I feel like this wants to play in a faster deck, but in a faster deck, you probably don't want to be paying to move characters.
Yeah, just
you
characters
just
down.
Play cheap characters.
Yeah. I mean, you only have to put 1 character here. Like it's.
I guess that is true. Yeah.
Yeah. This is okay. Maybe. This is one of the ones I've got to play. Try it. You skipped it because it's not great. It's maybe okay.
I'm going to say it's not good enough.
No. I mean, the 6 is the 6 enough for it to stick around long enough, because otherwise you could just play the other 1-cost vanillas that gain you a law, right? The Deville Manor and stuff. You know? It's not with multiple people here. No, this one would not stack. This is just if there's anything here, you get a law.
For that reason, I'm going to say no, because this not having a lore on its own is just really slow. And I think instead, if you want to play a location that like doesn't get banished the turn it's played, which is like turn 1 or 2, probably, you're probably just playing the 1-cost for willpower location that gains 1 lore.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know whether the 2 extra willpower means it's even going to stick around long enough to really matter. Amber Amethyst Bodyguards, is that a thing? The stats insane. John Silver Location Matters deck. I love that deck, but there's no Amethyst in it at the minute. I don't think it's a Ruby Steel deck personally, but you know, I don't know. I don't hate this. I'm not going to completely write this one off, but all right, we move on. Back quickly back to Vitalisphere. Is there anything else you wanted to say about this?
No,
I think it's pretty good. I can't believe some of the best stuff we've seen today is items.
Yeah, crazy world, huh?
They're slowly converting me. That one is a Lorcana original item as well, which
it is. Yeah, you didn't just explode.
Somebody when I was doing my reveal earlier today, somebody wanted to discuss. I was like, "Oh, see if you can guess what it is," because you won't guess because it's a random ass character.
Yeah.
And somebody was like, "Is it a Lorcana original character?" I was like, "There's no way they give me that." If they know anything about me, it's that it's that I would not be happy about that.
That's funny.
All right, next up.
Next up is Prince Philip, Warden of the Woods, an unequal 4 cost with 3 strength, 4 willpower, 2 lore, Dreamborn Hero Prince, and the ability Shining Beacon. Your other hero characters gain ward. It's more hero typal stuff. It's kind of like an Aurora Dreaming Guardian, but worse, in my opinion. It's unequal.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about this one is it's just Dreaming Guardian doesn't really see play, so I don't know why this would. Yeah,
That's kind of where I sit also.
yeah. But if you really want to build a hero deck, or specifically even a Prince deck, right? You could probably build you could add this in and it could be pretty fun. If you really wanted to just build like hero Prince stuff and this suddenly making your Flynns have ward is nice, but it's a thematic thing more than a playability thing, I think.
I agree.
And the Goons in the Shadows is great touch as well. Oh my word, did I talk about this card? 3-costed uninkable item, RLS Legacy's Cannon. Baboon and Monostick, basically. This is exert and pay 2 and discard a card. Deal 2 damage to chosen character or location. This is a rare card. Best card in the set, are we saying?
This might be the worst card in the game, and that's coming from someone who was stuck with Magic Mirror being so bad back in 1. This is taking Magic Mirror's spot in for me. I just don't understand. This makes me think there has to be discard payoff coming somewhere. I don't know. This isn't just Baboom on a card. It's like you're paying for Baboom, discarding a card, and you happen to have an item to exert. You're just better off playing the one Baboom. I don't know.
It takes up a rare slot. It's a travesty. This is. I am happy to eat my words when more discard matters stuff comes out. This is awful. This is awful. I won't say it's the worst card in the set. I still will argue that is Gantu from set 1 because I genuinely feel that Gantu from set 1 was designed for a different game.
You might be right about that.
I feel like Gantu was designed earlier in the process and just never got updated, and I think it probably should read 2-costed characters can't quest. But this is absolutely awful. Every other card in your deck can be a Baboom if you want, and you're happy to pay 5 ink and discard a card to do so.
Yeah. Well, no. If you want to pay 3 ink, any other card in your hand can be a Baboom if you want it to. Because you pay 3 for RLS Legacy, and then this card, I'm gonna pay 2, and I'm gonna do the thing that Baboom does.
Yeah. So for 5 ink, the cards you play a Baboom.
Yes. Yeah.
And because I was arguing with somebody about this card today because they thought it was good. And I had to show them all of this math. I was like, it's 5 ink and a discard a card. So for 5 ink and 2 cards, you can deal 2 damage. And they were like, yes, but the next turn it's still there. I was like, okay, cool. So now for 7 ink and 3 cards, you've done 4 damage. Yeah. The longer this goes on, the worse that math gets.
Yeah.
This is just worse. Discard Baboom to play. Now that's a move.
Just at that point, it's just mental games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I cannot think of a scenario where this card gets better until we see when this card is discarded
Yeah, do
on
your
a
dot,
card.
dot, dot. Yeah. Like even something else that has to be on the board that says when you discard a card, I don't think is good enough to make this good. I think the card
Let's see that.
itself has to say, if this card is discarded, blup, blup, blup.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great mechanic, and I think it's come in, and I could even see it go as far as saying, like, there might even be something that says, like, if a card is to be discarded, this must be discarded instead, or something like that. Like
Okay.
almost like a card that has to sit in your hand, and if they Ursula you're like, you've got to get rid of this, and it means I
Yeah.
draw a card or something, like an actual hard counter to those Ursula stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, I don't know, but yeah, I do. Yeah, I think this is absolutely awful. All right, moving on.
Next, John Silver, Shrekindez. I don't even know.
Shrek is love, Shrek is life.
The Shrek. An inkable 8 cost, 8/8 with 3 lore. I mean, he's a big boy. John Silver's a big guy.
Yeah, big dude.
I
Big
don't
dude.
think I would draft this.
Nah, because you're just not getting to 8.
You're never getting to 8.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, whatever. Big vanilla. I hate these taking up rare slots. At least give it a something that says, like, if I don't even have to read the card, like, it shouldn't be a rare.
Yeah.
4 costed, uninkable 3/4 for 2 lore. Goofy Musketeer Swordsman, Dreamborn Hero Musketeer in Amber. On gosh, whenever you play a character with Bodyguard, ready this character, you can't quest for the rest of the turn.
I like this.
Yeah. I need to go back and have another good look at the Bodyguards, or the Musketeers, really, because you want to play these in Musketeers, don't you? But,
yeah. I don't think it's like tier 1 or anything, but I like where this is going.
I'm glad it keeps getting support, and it's another one of those ones that you just have to keep keeping an eye on. I don't really necessarily see the benefit of readying a character that's behind a Bodyguard, but
yeah, it's a little anti-synergistic.
You quest for 2, play a Bodyguard, stand this up, hit something, and it's if it survives
or something,
or sing, yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure it needs to be uninkable.
Goofy's too powerful.
Goofy's too powerful. I'd love a Goofy Enchanted.
Oh,
not that one though, but I would love a Goofy Enchanted.
I'd love a Goofy Enchanted too. I need more Enchanteds of, like, not Mickey Mouse. I don't know
classics
what they're called.
Yeah. 100%.
Next is
for you.
Jasmine Gorilla Dale Deserto.
Desert Gorilla.
Yeah. Uninkable 5 cost, 3/3 with 2 lore. Is that Dreamborn Hero Princess? With this. Okay, wait. This is on play. Opponent discards a card, right?
I think it's on play and on quest.
And on quest, opponent discards a card. I don't know.
Questo. It's quest, I think.
I'm sick of Emerald discard cards. Get them out of my face. You don't need any more discard synergy. I don't like playing against the deck.
When this card is played and challenged, each opponent chooses and discards a card. Sorry, played and challenged.
Give me discards that say when this card is discarded, and I'll be happier. But until then, stop giving me Emerald discard cards.
I mean, I don't know whether this is better than Lucifer.
Yeah, I think that's the debate, right? Is it better than Lucifer?
It's another one of these, like, 5-drop emeralds that's kind of okay, and you can, just get away with playing a few of all of them, really, depending on your flavor. I think,
I think it might be better than Lucifer in that if you're playing against a player that knows what they're doing, they're probably inking or getting rid of their songs anyway when playing against an Emerald. So you're loose for. So you're loose. Oh, no, because then Lucifer would be better. Never mind. Yeah, never mind.
Lucifer hits 2 then, right?
Yeah, never mind.
I like it more as Lucifer. I like this more than Lucifer as a singer. I mean, the body's slightly better, right? Lucifer's a 2/2, but part of me thinks that you usually get the 2 out of Lucifer, and that at that point it's probably empty in their hand. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not playing Lucifer right now. I don't know whether I would play this.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're in the final stretch. Ooh, look at this one.
Ooh. If you want to hear me talk about this card, go watch my video. Next. No, I'm just kidding.
So looking, look away at this. Look away, go to Brand's video.
Yeah, so this is the card that I was able to reveal. Thank you, Team Lorcana, for giving me this card reveal. It's an inkable 3-cost item in Sapphire. Field of Ice with the ability Icy Defense. Whenever you play a character, they gain resist +1 until the start of your next turn. Really interesting card in that ability. It only has resist the turn that it's played. Mainly because cards can't do anything the turn that they're played, so and they can't be challenged unless they're bodyguard and you play them exerted, or they're a rush character and you can challenge them the turn that they're played, and therefore
Yeah,
they be exerted. So there's
which
some
is
synergy there.
Yeah, I think the thing is interesting though is you're right. Like this only really matters to rush and bodyguard, but it's a relevant ability for both rush and bodyguard. Like
Yeah.
resist one, like he's kind of nice for both bodyguards and resist, and the fact that it's
Hmm.
until your start of your next turn. Like I don't hate this. I don't know what deck this goes into right now, but I think there is a home for this somewhere.
The one that I think of immediately is just Ruby Sapphire, and specifically because a card. I mean, you're already playing Maui's, right? A lot of people have started playing Scar too, and Scar with resist +1 is pretty nasty.
Mhm.
It's an item, so your Tamatoas are going to get better off of this. You can also sack it with Hiram if you want to draw cards. The problem is just it's expensive and it's 3 cost, and on turn
Yeah.
3 you're playing Fishbone Quill. Maybe later in the game you've got time to play this. But
Somebody's just pointed out a great line that I didn't notice. No Zeus didn't beat Tragic Hero when he got played.
yeah, I
Like,
wouldn't banish Tragic Beast. I just don't know that that's good enough.
oh
And
no,
maybe it
it would
is.
take enough damage to not get you to draw a card. Yeah, maybe not. But I just not just how often does that happen though? Right, Beast comes down, it dies
Right.
before you get anything out of him. So, but
And that
yeah,
that's the thing. That's where I have a difficult time weighing this card is the resist +1 on your stuff that's ready so that it doesn't die to all the steel removal that is pretty good. Is that good enough? Is that good enough to just play and say, now your Long Came Zeus isn't going to banish, my Tinkerbell or my
yeah,
Beast or whatever? And maybe, I don't know.
yeah.
Um,
SB on here saying Emerald Sapphire, protect those Ursula. The problem is though, is you're playing this when you want to play Ursula, so you're now
yeah.
playing Ursula a turn later, and
Hmm.
therefore singing a turn later just so that this can do something. I don't think that's a line. I think it's probably Blurple, and I think it's to make foxes and stuff beefier.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
That's what
think
I'm
that's
thinking.
probably where he goes. Yeah, but I
That's
don't
what
know.
I'm thinking.
It's one of these cards where it's not in a current deck, but it hasn't got a home in a current deck, but I think it has a home somewhere.
Hmm. Yeah, I would agree.
And yeah, interestingly, Googly there says that if you shifted something on the same turn, the
Hmm.
resist would stack. I mean, it doesn't why you very rarely want to shift onto something the same turn, but yeah, technically it would still work, so it's worth noting. Oh Jesus, 4-costed inkable 3/3 for 2 lore Aurora. I think it's Lore Watcher,
I don't
Lore
remember.
Guardian, Floodborn Hero Princess with Shift 2 and be wearing. That means opponent can't target. Opponent can't choose items, and her second ability says you can exert this to exert an item to scry.
Yeah, and the
That's what it
item
is.
doesn't have to have an exert ability. You could
Yes.
exert a popsicle if you
Yeah.
wanted to use
Yeah.
this
You
ability.
can basically this says exert any item, look at the top card of your deck, keep it on the top or put it on the bottom. Jonti telling you, but it was a bit boring, wasn't it? Beware, Aaron. It's nice. Yeah, I think this is good.
Yeah, it's item ward, which is kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good, especially in Sapphire with Lucky Diamond stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, really good, I think.
I think she's a good body. She's got some good shift targets already. Um, Yeah, I think this. I mean, I don't know what items. I don't know how item decks work, but I feel like this could go in a. Yeah.
I mean, it's really good because we don't have a ton of item removal, but I'd say we have enough to like matter. Um, but putting this basically in between like the item removal and the items is difficult because
Mm.
removing the items isn't too tough. You know, playing binges are pretty good cards just on their own. I'd say even the beast hard-headeds aren't terrible cards to play either, just to remove the items. But the moment you like add something else you have to do before you can remove that item, like remove Aurora, I think that's just like really difficult to actually remove the items at that point. And for the, I think this will be pretty strong.
Yeah, I agree, and this is pretty solid. All right, next one. Whoop, we're getting a wide. There she is. So these are from today, so I haven't necessarily got clean images of these.
Mm-hmm. This is Minnie Mouse Musketeer Champion, an uninkable 5-cost 1/5 with 2 lore, Dreamborn Hero Musketeer Bodyguard, dramatic entrance. When you play this character, banish chosen opposing character with 5 strength or more. I kind of like this card.
This is another one I've argued about today because I like this card as well. I mean, it's an inkable, and that's never great. But I think World's Greatest Criminal Mind on a body, on a perfectly acceptable body, is good. Yeah, I don't mind this at all.
Yeah,
I don't.
in
Sorry, go ahead.
especially in Amber where you have access to like the Queen, things like that can
If you need it,
boost
yeah.
strength. Yeah.
Yeah, 100% if you need it. But even still, otherwise it's on its own, it's probably doing some decent work. I don't know whether it sees play outside of bodyguards or musketeers. I was talking to a Steel Song player today as to whether or not this could fit into Steel Song. It's a removal spell that sticks around to sing Whole New World, but it's little competitive, that deck at the moment, to get stuff in. But
and uninkable is tough in that deck too. Speaking of
yes,
uninkable,
already high count of uninkables. Yeah,
and there are some times where is worlds a song? Yeah, worlds
Other
is a
World.
song, isn't it? No, World's Greatest Criminal Mind.
Yes, World's Greatest Criminal Mind.
Yeah, I thought so. And sometimes that matters in the Steel Song deck, like that it's a specifically
You're hitting a song. Yeah,
yeah. So
I still don't mind this though. Wouldn't be surprised if this sees some play.
same.
All right, next up, 3.
Go ahead. This is I'm excited about this card.
3 costed uninkable, 1/3 for 2 lore, Alma Madrigal. Okay, I haven't got a good translation for this one. It's a tutor. This says when you play this character, go look through your deck for a Madrigal. Leave that card to one side, show it to everybody, shuffle the deck, and then put the Madrigal card on the top of the deck.
We have tutors.
We do.
That's exciting.
Our first one. So, for those of you who don't know, tutor is a word used to describe the action of looking through your deck for a certain card. Mm-hmm. Top of deck. Did not say top of the deck?
You said top of deck. Yeah.
Yes, the action of going through your deck and looking for a certain card and either placing it on the top or into your hand. The term, like a lot of TCG terms, comes from Magic. There's been I feel like Diabolical Tutor was the first one, but there's many in Magic now. Vampiric Tutor, Idyllic Tutor. They all do variations of a theme. Either the type of card you can go and get is different, or the cost, or how to do it is different. We're saying Herald, technically there are tutors that put the card on the deck. The first one didn't, but yeah. Sure, this is a tutor to all intents and purposes. You go and find a card. They are good.
Mm-hmm.
Tutors are good.
Mm-hmm.
They are a bit broken in Commander or a singleton format. So, a Canadian Highlander, if anyone's playing that. Singleton formats, in as much as the deck contains one of each card, tutors become very good because it changes the card from, go and find one of the 16 or 17 cards in your deck to go and find a single copy of a card from 100,
Yeah.
So they're very good in singleton formats. They're still strong in regular constructed play. So for that reason, I think this is why we are seeing it on an uninkable card. We're seeing it specifically look for a certain classification, a classification that really only works within itself. They're playing it safe, right? I think.
Yeah. I think this is a very safe way to introduce a tutoring effect into the game. I honestly hope we don't see anything like much more specific or like busted than this, because even in
Oh
Pokemon's
yeah, I
big
mean,
big on
Pokemon is
tutors.
bad on the tutors, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it's like half of your deck, and part of it's fun because in deck building, I can put a single copy of a card in my deck, and like that's fine because I'm almost certainly like going to see that card when I need to see it. And I think having that ability when deck building can be fun and interesting, especially depending on like um, teching cards in for certain matchups and things like that. But yeah, it's a lot of shuffling in Pokemon, and I would really prefer that they not put a ton of tutoring in this game, so I'm not spending half of our match shuffling the deck
just
after
filling
searching
it
it
in
7
stuff.
times.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like it's one of those things that just will happen eventually. But hopefully it sort of stays like this. I like the next step up from this is a less fringe classification. Go and find a hero card, go and find a villain
Mhm.
card. That becomes very good, I think. And obviously the step up from that is go and find a character card, and then
Yeah.
the next step up from that is go and find a card, because
Yeah.
at that point you wouldn't even have to reveal it. So all of
Mhm.
these so far you would have to reveal. You have to show your opponent because you have to prove that it's the type of card that you're meant to be going to get. But as soon as they print one that just says go and find a
Just
card
go
of
get
your
a card.
choice, you don't have to show it anymore because it doesn't matter what sort of card it is. And at that point, the power level increases massively. So
Mhm.
I don't mind seeing it. Go and find it. Yeah, you could have Storyborn or Dreamborn. Yeah, 100% could be basically any classification can be done. But obviously the more fringe ones, Musketeer, Madrigal,
Yeah.
um, uh, I'm trying to think what the other ones are that are like less prevalent and only really care about each other.
Um,
I think everything else then starts to get into a little bit more dangerous territory. Even things a broom, I guess. Go and find a broom. That would be
yeah, that's
fine.
for everyone.
But
Go
yeah,
find a
then
Tigger.
sure. The next Detective Tigger, I could totally see it. The next thing would be um, even like Sorcerer is
And yeah, that
could
could be
worry.
dangerous.
Yeah. So yeah, certain values as well could definitely be a thing. So there's lots of ways to do it without making them too broken. But it's definitely something to keep an eye on, and they know this. Like
Yep.
they're not the people who are making this game aren't idiots. They know what how powerful these can be and how sort of out of hand they can get. But good to see. I'm still happy to see it. Next up,
Mm.
yeah, boy.
Stitch. Yeah, a little inkable 2 cost, 2/3, 1 lore Stitch. Just a little vanilla guy. He looks really cute, really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
This really doesn't mean anything other than we get another Stitch card, which I'm always happy for, and it increases consistency in like Rockstar Stitch decks. Is
Yeah.
basically all it means.
So again, I was chatting to my Steel Song friend before, and he quite likes this actually. If you're running Rockstar in Steel Song, which you can
Yeah,
do,
sure. Absolutely.
he says, you know what? He says, you're not doing much on 2 necessarily. You're usually singing with your One Drop Cinderella on 2. He said, I actually quite like this as a body on 2. This, it doesn't get stormed.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't get easily strengthed. It trades with a 2/2 and sticks around. Like this is, it's a vanilla, but it's actually ticking quite a few boxes personally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And anything that like obviously this shifts Rockstar, but then also is part of the Rockstar engine, which
Right.
is really great as well. Because
Yeah.
Shift Rockstar is 4, right?
It's 4,
So
yeah.
you could play up to like a 3-drop Stitch, but obviously then that's not going to be rocking out the
Mm-hmm.
fans, adoring fans.
Adoring
Is the
fans,
Rockstar
yeah.
ability? Yeah. So this, I don't know. Yeah, it's a common vanilla, but it's a good one, I think.
It's a pretty good one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely can see where this gets played in a Rockstar Stitch deck for all the
Mhm.
reasons you said. The only thing, and I still think you probably play this card anyway, is like a lot of times you want to be playing lanterns in decks like that. And you
That's
usually want
fair.
to get lanterns down pretty early.
Yeah.
But even then, I mean, I think you're fine to put a lanterns down and play this later. Like it doesn't matter.
You could, if you play the 1-drop Pluto, you could play this and a Lantern on 2,
Yeah, you could do that.
which
Absolutely.
I don't hate either. Yeah, I think it's a thing. And then Rockstar
Record
on 3,
player.
record player. Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
sing 3-cost songs with Stitch.
Yeah, is that the way now? Is this a way to get Rockstar on 3? Could you do that before?
What? Yeah.
You
Yeah,
could do
because that was
the one drop
why
Stitch. Yeah.
that's
That's
why
right.
you're playing lanterns is
Yeah,
because then on turn 3 you can shift the
yeah.
Rockstar.
Because the 1-star Stitch still the one still fits into that math, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just slightly chunkier and then in some ways better. So yeah, don't hate it. Don't hate it at all. All right, this one was my reveal from today. So this is a 5-costed inkable 3/5 for 2 Lord Dang Hu. Talon Chief, Storyborn Villain. I mean, at this point, I feel like some of these cards need spoiler alerts because this is a relatively newer movie, and it's a bit of a like twist that she's the villain. So,
Oh, is it
a
really?
little bit,
Yeah, I
yeah,
haven't seen this movie,
she's not the
so
big villain, but yeah, she like when they meet her, she's not a
yeah.
villain or doesn't present herself as one. You better talk faster, or the villain characters gain support. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely one to keep an eye on. Amber Sapphire villains could be a thing one day. I want them to be. I want to play a villain deck, like just thematically.
Mhm.
I want to play all villains. But currently, Sapphire isn't the color of villains. There are a
Not
few
really.
notable ones, but they're not necessarily notable for their villaininess. Like
Yeah.
Tamatoa is an item payoff. It doesn't care about villains at all. Gaston is just solid Sapphire cards, and then Hades, the 7-drop Hades, again sees a little bit of play, but it doesn't really necessarily fit into villains. Obviously, all of the other villain support we've got is in Amber,
Mhm.
so there's a possible Amber Sapphire deck here, but I think it's way off. Yeah, unless we get some serious more villain support or just villains in the color, really. So yeah.
Mhm.
Surprisingly, there's plenty of villains in Emerald. Yes, I think Emerald actually might have the most villains. And I do wonder whether it's a conscious design decision to have the like the support cards for a typal deck not being the color that has the majority of the type, if that makes sense. So that
Yeah.
you have to kind of make a choice in your deck construction.
Yeah, I find it really odd because I can't well, there's not an example of that stands out as broadly as all the villain like synergy stuff is in Amber, where there's explicitly not a ton of villains.
Yeah. I mean, it pretty much has the 2 Hades, um, and now has the Queen of Hearts, which is the other one that cares about villains. And then
Mhm.
there's the Queen and the Shift Queen. And like that's about it. There's like
Mhm.
1 or 2 other odd cards, but yeah, that's about it really. So yeah, I don't know. I'm very happy to reveal it. I love being involved, but I don't necessarily think this really has a home right now. So
Mhm.
and support in general, yeah,
Yeah.
is another one. It was support and reckless, arguably. Gaston, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Gaston,
Singer,
singer.
Gaston, and there's a couple of others, but not like just nothing of note really. All right, and then to finish off with from Rebecca at the Illuminary. She joined us earlier, but we've gone late tonight. It's 1 a.m.
Probably asleep, yeah.
Yeah, so this was her first one.
Mirabelle Madrigal, Prophecy Finder, an inkable 2-cost 2/2 with 1 lore, Storyborn Hero, Madrigal, and support.
Perfectly acceptable stat
shift
line
target.
and card really. And yeah, do we have a we don't have a Floodborne yet.
I
Right?
don't think so, not
We have
yet.
big,
But like,
big Mirabelles, but like
yeah, I'd expect we'd have, at some point get a Floodborne
yeah,
Mirabelle.
Mirabelle, but with powers or something. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Floodborne Mirabelle is probably on the way. And this is obviously notable there. If not, it's a Rockstar fan.
Yeah.
It's if you just want to play a deck with all madrigals in, you're probably going to put this in as some of your early game, right? You need
Mhm.
the ones and twos. So yeah, and then finally, have I done the same card twice? No, there it is. It took a while to load. A 2-costed inkable item, Miracle Candle. With Abuela's Gift. Banish this item if you have 3 or more characters in play, gain 2 lore, and remove up to 2 damage from a chosen location. I'm not a huge fan of items that need to be banished for their ability. Personally, I don't hate this though. Like it could just be the 2 lore you need in an aggro deck to finish off. But in an aggro deck, are you playing this over just a 2-cost character?
Right.
And why doesn't it say character or location for that last ability? Why is it specific?
Yeah, that's so
Like I
so
get it.
weird.
Again, thematically, it's healing the house. Like it all
Yeah.
it, like thematically makes sense. But come on, it's too down. It's too heat. It's too health. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, any card that says, gain lore, I always just sort of keep in the back of my mind.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like you said,
In
if
two lore, 2 instant lore. You've got a Piglet and a Simba and a Lilo out or whatever, and you've just gained 6. You can play this for 2 and gain 8. Like it
yeah,
could just be big for that reason.
yeah.
But otherwise, I'm not sure. Yeah, works with the healing Rapunzel Floodborn. What remove up to 2 damage?
Does it, or does it need to
That's it.
be?
I think doesn't she
Does
specify
she need
character?
character? Yeah, that's what I wonder. I think she
Yeah,
specifies character.
which is a big issue I have with a lot of this stuff. Is that a lot of stuff specifies character and maybe it doesn't need
Mhm.
to. Like I expect the challenge stuff all the time. Like it's all challenging
Yeah.
characters, and I just feel like it doesn't need to. But this is like you say, instant lore gain is definitely one to keep an eye on. But otherwise, I'm not particularly fussed about this. But I think Madrigals is going to be I think Madrigal is
Yeah, you throw this in a Madrigal deck for sure.
thematically just cool.
Mhm.
There we go. 57 cards. It is 7 minutes
Wow.
1 in the morning for me.
And we still have how many cards that aren't revealed?
I think we're about halfway
100?
now.
Yeah, probably something
Be a
close to
long
that.
week.
Yes, because we only have, what is it, like 3 weeks?
It's 2.
2 weeks? Oh my god.
1, 2. Sorry, it's 2.
2.5.
It's not. Yeah, it's 2 on Friday.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It's crazy, eh?
Oh,
Yeah.
that is crazy. That is wild.
So we're gonna have a big week, I think. So this again next week, next Monday.
This again next week. Imagine we'll have just as many cards to go over, if not more.
All right. Well, what is your other than like being suffocated under a pile of reveals? What does your week look like, Brendan?
Yeah, I mean, today is our normal league night. Obviously, wasn't there to do
I
this.
forgot to mention earlier because we were deep in conversation, but Trey popped in before
I
and said
saw.
you want a pin. Did you see?
I did, and I'm happy to win a pin. That's awesome because we've started just raffling them off.
Okay.
So it's fun that I won. That's the one pin from this set that I already have. I still need a Stitch. And I need the gray Lorcana pin. I
Okay.
won a Sheriff of Nottingham pin at a constructed tournament I went to out of town. So that's kind of funny. I'll see if I can trade it to anybody. But anyway, so no league. And before our next show, I got a lot of videos to make, man. I took a break a little bit for set champs. Hadn't uploaded in a little bit.
Same.
Decided to upload for the card reveal, which was really awesome. But now after set champs, with all the stuff that we talked about in the first half of the show, and I was gonna try. I've said this for the past 2 sets. I was going to try to make videos and keep up with the cards as they get revealed, but so many of these just got dumped at once. I'm just like, I'm going to be better served to make another like top 5 video, which I wanted to do anyway.
It's tricky. It's really tricky because really that's been my bread and butter on this channel, is keeping up with reveals and doing sort of like daily videos over this sort of 2-week reveal period. But yeah, I did the same with the set champs prepping. I sort of let it slip a day, and I was like, oh well, there's 8 cards to look at. I can wait till tomorrow, and then tomorrow I was like, oh, there's 12 to look at, but I can maybe wait till tomorrow, and then we just got this huge dump, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I've got like
now
60
there's 50 cards to go over. Yeah.
So I've done them all here on this video, so they're on the channel, but I would said that I would cover them all in videos, so I do feel like I need to at some point, but it's gonna be a long couple of videos, and I'm not sure whether people are gonna care, because it's all gonna be stuff that's been revealed a week or two ago now. So, but we'll see. We'll see how we get on. But yeah, the same for me really. Saturday is just regular league. And then so we'll be back here with lots more reveals next week, I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome. Thanks for sticking it out, folks. Thanks for joining with us. Thanks again to Team Lorcana for letting us show off the beautiful Belle Accomplished Mystic. There she is in all her glory. Beautiful art, like really incredible art, really. Like
I love the art on this card.
So, and I think, could see play as well. We'll see whether this moving damage stuff becomes relevant. Definitely want to keep an eye on. So yeah, thanks very much for watching. Love you. That was sorry. Until next week. Oh, it's been a long night. Until next week in ink.
That was This Week in Ink. Thanks, guys.